Good morning. My name is Councillor James Pasternak. I'm the Chair of North York Community Council. We have quorum. I'm now calling meeting 22 to order. Although we're meeting in different locations today, North York Community Council would like to acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississauga of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, Chippewa, Haudenosaunee, and Wendat peoples. It is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, Métis people. It is also acknowledged that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississauga of the Credit. Today's meeting is being held by video conference and is being live streamed online at youtube.com/Toronto City Council Live. If you're registered to speak in today's meeting, please listen for me to call your name. I will call the speakers in order they appear on the list. The list of speakers can be viewed online visiting North York Community Council page toronto.ca/council and clicking the speakers box for today's meeting. Members, the city clerk has provided all agenda materials at toronto.ca/council and on the clerk's meeting portal. Clerk's IT staff are available to members if you need help with your devices. Are there any declarations of interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? I don't see any. And may I have a motion to confirm the minutes from our meeting of April 2nd, 2025?
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Carroll. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We have 27 items on the agenda today and 2 items of new business to introduce. So let's do a run through of the agenda. NY 23.1, 19 Ian Hall Road, request for fence exemption to the Toronto Municipal Code. This was a deferred item. Staff recommendation is to withdraw this item as the matter has been resolved. I will move the staff recommendation to withdraw the item. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item 23.2, 9 Mark Avenue, traffic calming speed humps. Councillor Carroll.
Move the staff recommendations.
Staff recommendations moved on Skymark Avenue. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 23.3, 499 Briar Hill Avenue, request for fence exemption, the Toronto Municipal Code, Chapter 447. Councillor Cole? Okay, we're going to hold that down. 23.4, 390 Glencairn Avenue, application to remove a private tree. We're going to hold that down for a speaker. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. 23.6, series of addresses on Viewmount Avenue, series of addresses on Romar Crescent, official plan. Okay, there we go. Just missed an item. 23.5, series of addresses on Viewmount Avenue, official plan amendment, zoning bylaw amendment applications appeal. I do not see speakers on the item. Councillor Cole? I'll hold the item down until Councillor Cole arrives. Series of 23.6, series of addresses on Viewmount Avenue and Romar Avenue, official plan amendment, zoning bylaw amendment applications appeal. I don't have any speakers on the item, but it is Councillor Cole's. We'll hold it down until he arrives. 23.7, Growing Glencairn, Phase 1 report, emerging vision and guiding principles. We'll hold that for speakers. 23.8, 586 Eglinton Avenue East, official plan amendment application appeal. Councillor Chernos-Lynn.
I'd like to hold that one down.
I don't have any speakers listed on the item. 23.9, 895 Lawrence Avenue East, official plan amendment, zoning bylaw amendment, decision report. No speakers listed. Councilor Burnside.
Yes, sorry, what was that?
Yes, item 23.9, 895 Lawrence Avenue East, official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment, decision report, refusal.
Yes, yeah, move staff recommendations of refusal. Thank you. My apologies.
Okay, there is, just as an FYI, there is a supplementary report on this item. Are you moving the recommendations in the supplementary?
Yes.
Okay, so recommendations in the supplementary are moved by Councilor Burnside. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. (23.10). 123 and 123A Parkway Forest Drive, official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment. We're going to hold that for speakers. (2311), 2329 Greenbrier Road, official plan amendment, zoning bylaw amendment applications. Decision report, approval, we're going to hold that for speakers.
Mr. Chair, can I just, I don't recognize the speaker registered. I'm wondering if that's a speaker for the applicant.
Stefan Steiku?
Oh, no, I have a different name on the list. I'm looking at, are we on item number 11 still? I thought we were on 11.
There's two Greenbriers. For
Yeah.
2311, 2329 Greenbrier, it's Eric Park.
Right.
For 2312, 2329 Greenbrier, it's Stefan Steiku.
Right. I was just wondering if those are, I don't know if those are speakers for the applicant. Or if they are, we're planning on adopting the staff recommendations, and we can do that quickly. Yeah, he's just here in case there were questions.
I see. So, Councilor Carroll, which of the two, or you want to move them, take it as a package, or you want to move one?
Well, item number 11, it's the applicant registered, and he was just registered in case there are questions. And we're planning on adopting the recommendations. And then 12 is the demolition with housing
Okay.
plans. Is that a resident? or
Okay.
Applicant?
Is Stefan Steiku available? And are you supporting the staff recommendations?
Yeah, I'm prepared to move them.
Okay, so what we're going to do here, since everyone is in agreement, we can move item 2311, which is 2329 Greenbrier Road. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And 2312, 2329 Greenbrier Road, rental housing demolition application. All those in favor?
Yep.
Opposed? That is carried.
Okay, proceed with the housing plan.
2313, 3386, and 3398 Bayview Avenue, and 32 Brenham Crescent. There is a supplementary report, and I do not have any deputants on the item. Councillor Cheng.
Move staff recommendations first.
In the supplementary?
Yes.
If you're not sure, we can hold it.
Yes, yep.
Okay.
Move the supplementary.
Supplementary report is being moved on 2313. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 2314, Miranda Avenue, accessible parking spaces. I don't have any deputations on the item. It is Councillor Cole. I'm sure he'll get here soon. We're going to hold that item for him. 2315, 2555 Young Street, refusal of sidewalk cafe permit application located at Sherwood Avenue flankage. We do have a deputation on the item, so we're going to hold that. Counselor Chernos Lynn, that is your item. 2316, Elvina Gardens Parking Amendments. I do not have any deputations on the item. Counselor Chernos Lynn, that is in Ward 15.
I'd like to move staff recommendations, please.
Okay, staff recommendations moved. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 2317, 30 Scarsdale Road, designation of fire routes, amendment to Chapter 880 fire routes. Counselor Burnside.
Move staff recommendations.
Staff recommendations moved. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 2318, William Sylvester Drive and Shinleaf Terrace, parking and traffic amendments. I do not have any speakers on the item. Counselor Carroll?
I'll move the staff recommendations for approval.
Staff recommendations moved. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 2319, 243, and 255 Consumers Road, North York, Assumption of Services Registered Plan. I do not have speakers on the item. Counselor Carroll?
Yes, move the staff recommendations. Let's assume.
Let's assume. More responsibility, yes. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 2320, Greenbelt Drive Parking Amendments. Counselor Burnside?
Move staff recommendations.
Staff recommendations moved on item 20. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item 21, 716 Gordon Baker Road, designation of fire routes and amendment to Chapter 880 fire routes. Counselor Carroll?
Move the staff recommendations.
Staff recommendations moved. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item number 22, Glendora Avenue and Dudley Avenue, compulsory stop control. No deputations on the item. Counselor Cheng?
Move staff recommendations.
Staff recommendations moved. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 2323, appointment of public member to the Larry Grossman Forest Hill Memorial Arena Board. There is a confidential attachment. I assume that has the name of the recommendation. Counselor Cole, how would you like to proceed?
Staff recommendation.
Okay, you're moving the confidential attachment with the name. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 2324, waiver of public appointments policy and appointment of a public member to the Larry Grossman Forest Hill Memorial Arena Board.
Staff recommendation.
Staff recommendations moved on 2324. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 2325, appointment of public members to the Leaside Memorial Community Gardens Arena Board. Counselor Chernos Lynn,
I would like to move the city clerk's recommendations on this item.
you're moving the confidential attachment. Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item 26, term prohibitions onto Eglinton Avenue East from Brentcliffe Road and Don Avon Drive. We're going to hold that for speakers. Uh, 27, Avon Wick Gate from Rustywood Drive to Beveridge Drive. Those are quite the street names you've got there, Councilor Burnside. Amend speed limit from 50 kilometers an hour to 40 per hour. Councilor Burnside. And I don't have deputations on the item.
Move.
Staff recommendations moved.
recommendations.
Okay.
My deputation is I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a ticket, but I'll vote for it.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to walk in that neighborhood based
Stay
on
out of
this.
Ward 16.
Oh, okay, this is a letter from the counselor. Okay, so, anyway, we'll put this to a, what should be a dramatic vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, so two new items, care of yours truly. One is 2328 Menized Road parking restrictions. This vote is just to add it to the agenda. We need, there's a technical amendment on one of my items, and we're just trying to figure that out. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. That is added to the agenda. And the second item is 29, Plews Road, Spalding Road, Catherine Road, parking restrictions. Just a motion to introduce it as new business, and then we'll work out our technical amendments, a technical amendment later. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay, Counselor Cole, did you want to, you have a new item as well, I hear. Oh, it's up on the screen, I see that, there it is. Did you want to introduce that?
Yes, this is just to facilitate the creation of a new park in this area. So moving demolitions of 34 to 70 Montgomery Avenue.
Okay, so this is, okay, barely. Okay, so, can you put it back on the screen? This- Okay, so this is 34 to 70 Montgomery Avenue, that we're going to do it in two votes. One is to add it to the agenda, and then if Councillor Cole wants to move one of the recommendations here, we can deal with it right away. Okay, so the first vote is to add it to the agenda. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Councillor Cole, how would you like to deal with this item?
Well, I'd like to move forward with the demolition with conditions.
Okay, it's item 3. Can we have it back on the screen? I can't see a thing here. Okay, so number 3 is being moved. It's approving demolition with conditions. Moved by Councillor Cole. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, we can go back to any more new items, or we're good? Oh, Councillor Cole, in your absence, we did hold a few items that you may,
Okay.
we may want to deal with. Item 5, series of addresses on Viewmount Avenue. It's official plan amendment. Did you want to hold that item or move it now?
Okay. I just, yeah, we can move it.
Okay, so 23.5, series of addresses on Viewmount Avenue. Moved by Councillor Cole. He's moving staff recommendations. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item number 6, a series of addresses on Viewmount Avenue and a series of addresses on Romar. And this is a official plan amendment, zoning bylaw amendment, applications appeal. So we held that for you, Councillor Cole. Do you want to continue to hold it or move the staff recommendations or amend them?
Let's just hold that for a minute.
We'll continue to hold. Item number 23.7, Growing Glencairn Phase 1 Report, Emerging Vision. Oh, no, that's being held for speakers. Okay, so we also held item number 14, 23.14, Miranda Avenue accessible parking spaces. We do not have any speakers on the item. Councillor Cole, we held it.
Yeah, I'll move staff recommendations.
Staff recommendations, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And I think that dealt with your held items. The others, I think there's one or two others held for speakers. Okay, so we can move to the top of the agenda. Obviously, 23.1's been dealt with. So 23.2, 23.3, we have speakers on the item, so let's listen to the speakers. We have Aaron Shapiro.
Yeah.
I believe it's a video conference, and that's 499 Briar Hill Avenue. It's a fence exemption. Mr. Shapiro,
Thank you.
thank you for
Can
joining
you
us.
hear
You
me
have 5
okay?
minutes.
Great. Good morning, members of the North York Community Council. I appreciate your time and the opportunity to speak regarding the proposed fence exemption. I want to start by clarifying something. The report that staff put together lists 2 recommendations for council to vote on. The first is to refuse the application for the fence exemption, that is technically not within code. The second is to vote for the alternate recommendation, which grants the fence exemption permit, allowing the current enclosures to be maintained. The staff have made clear in the first meeting on this topic on April 3rd that they do not believe in any way that the backyard is actually unsafe. When asked specifically by council what it was about the backyard they viewed as unsafe, they actually did not give an answer. They just stated that their sole purview is whether it's the code. So in my mind, it's not that they believe it is unsafe. Serious additional safety features have been installed at the homeowner's expense, and I want to walk through those. So we're talking about an automatic hard pool cover, which meets safety standards set by ASTM, which is a regulatory body that Canada uses for safety testing of building materials. These specific guidelines were created to remove the risk of drowning by completely inhibiting pool access to children. This is a hard pool cover. It can withstand up to 485 pounds. And these standards are used throughout various municipalities in the US and across the world. And so you essentially, you cannot access the pool. In addition to the automatic hard pool cover, there is a fence surrounding the entirety of the pool. So separate from the fence in question, there's an additional fence around the pool itself. It's made of a material called 1000 denier mesh. And that mesh is specifically known for its strength and durability. It can withstand over 160 pounds of strength, which is much more than an infant can muster. It's very modern technology. Again, it's out of the US and it exceeds the minimum US ASTM safety standards by about 300%. Given that these 2 measures make the pool itself very, very safe, there's a question as to why aren't these included in the city's bylaws for pools? And they are included in bylaws for other municipalities around the world. My view is that at some point, our code will be updated to require these more modern safety advancements, but the backyard in question already has them. In terms of the 2 actual areas of the yard that are non-compliant with the code, they're both very, very minor. So the first is that the 2nd story gate height is just 14 centimeters short of the required height. And the second is that, I guess in theory, someone could use a pre-existing stone ledge to try to climb over a 4-foot high glass gate, which would then allow them to walk to the gate that surrounds the actual pool. So they would not be able to get to the pool. Now, as I understand it, the purpose of the code is to ensure safety specifically for children. And the purpose of the exemption process is to allow for backyards that meet the spirit of the bylaw and that safety to pass or to be left alone, even if they don't meet the exact letter of the code. This backyard to me certainly fits that profile. It's extremely safe for children. There's no access to the pool. And I think it's entirely in line with the spirit of the code, which is why I urge council to vote for the alternate recommendation. Thank you. I yield the rest of my time.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any questions for the deputant?
I just had one question.
Councillor Cole?
What is the name of that automatic pool cover? What's it called?
Let me have it open over here.
Do you have any idea how much it cost?
Give me one sec. I do have that. It's called a Cover Star, is the brand. And it costs around $20,000. So it's a
And
very expensive. I think
What do
there's
they call them?
different brands of pool covers, but this is a sort of very serious and high.
What are they called?
Cover Star?
Cover? What?
Star.
Start?
Star?
Cover, start.
No, like star, like the sun is a star. Cover Star.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor, counselors, any other questions for the deputant? Counselor Carroll.
Yeah, I wasn't going to go there, but Councillor Chang and I are both wondering, the issue here, this is before us, and what staff are highlighting is the inadequacy of the gates. Our bylaw doesn't call a pool enclosed if you're just gating in your house. But there is, in the photographs, a fence around the pool that was discussed here. What's the issue there? Is the fence around the pool temporary, or is it inadequate in some way?
So the fence around the pool.
Sorry,
I'm
I'm sorry. I misunderstood you, Mr. Chair. I'm asking that question of staff.
Oh, I thought we were still asking questions of
Sorry,
the deputant.
I misunderstood.
Okay, no, if there's no questions for the deputant, I will tell him that his job is done.
No,
Counselor
Yeah.
Chernos-Lynn for the deputant.
Can you advise, you've put like a mesh fence or something around, I'm just looking at the photos, around your pool?
So there's two added safety features around the pool that are actually unrelated to the violations of the bylaw. And the broader theme here is, even though there are these two small violations of the bylaw, the pool in the backyard is totally inaccessible to children and therefore completely safe. And those two safety features are a fence going all around the pool, and it's not mesh is probably the wrong term. You can't push it over unless you're putting more than 160 pounds of strength on it. It costs $5,000 to install. It can be removed by an adult with tools, but not by a child with their hands. It's designed specifically to keep children away from pools. Like this is what it's for. And then beyond that, there's that Cover Star pool cover, which, unless you put 500 pounds of weight on it, will not let you access the pool.
So, can I ask why you chose this fence as opposed to one that would comply with the regulations?
So this fence is actually not part of the regulations. There are no regulations around, as I understand it, putting this type of little enclosed fence just around the pool itself. This is an added safety feature, just to make the backyard extra safe. The bylaw in question is not about the fence around the pool. It's around sort of a border from the exit from the back of the house into the backyard area, for which you may then be able to get into the pool.
But the
But
bylaw,
because of the
but the
safety
bylaw,
features
the
around the
bylaw is, with
It's
all
getting
due
to the-
respect,
All right, Mr. Deputant, Mr. Shapiro, just let the counselor respond, please.
the bylaw, though, is meant to be a barrier to the pool. Am I, maybe I'm not misunderstanding it, but I believe you don't have to put you don't have to put a fence if you don't have a pool, correct? So my question is just why you chose this fence as opposed to one that would meet the bylaw, because this one doesn't meet the bylaw, as I understand it.
So this fence is just there for added safety. It has nothing to do with the bylaw. It's just beyond what the bylaw asks for. The goal was just extra safety. and the aspects of the bylaw that are not met are very minor. So, for example, I believe a fence needs to be 1.2 meters, and the fence in question is 1.06 meters, so it's 14 centimeters short. But that just gets you into the backyard area from which you would still not be able to access the pool because there's these two other added safety features. So the spirit of the bylaw is most certainly being met. That's all I'm trying to say.
Okay, I think so I'll ask staff any further
Councillor
questions.
Chernos-Lynn,
about
let's not
bylaws.
debate with the, with the deputants. You can ask questions on general decision-making, but let's not debate the technicalities of bylaws. Councillor Carroll, did you change your mind? You want to ask for the deputant?
No, I do want to ask questions of staff.
Okay, we're
I'm
not-
sorry
we're not-
for my earlier misunderstanding.
No, we're not quite there yet. So
Yes,
does
yes,
anyone
I'm aware
else?
of that. That's why I keep saying I misunderstood.
Okay.
I just want to go there.
Okay, I know we're anxious to ask staff all kinds of tough questions. So is there anyone else who wants to ask questions of the deputant? We're done. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Shapiro. Questions for staff, Councillor Carroll.
Yes, okay.
Thank
So
you.
something's gone horribly wrong here. I'm wondering if we have staff here who made an actual site visit. No? Crickets? Anyone? Anyone? Bueller?
Staff, where are our municipal licensing staff? Is there anyone here? Just a raise a hand is good enough. There's no one here from municipal licensing. Well, how on earth are we going to debate this item and make a decision?
We've certainly been here before. There's a real frustration here when we don't have someone here to speak to whatever site visit was made, because it really sounds like the applicant for the fence appeal here does not understand our bylaw. Is less about gating off your house and more about enclosing your pool. He's actually put a fence around his pool, which is what we want, but it doesn't quite comply. But the report is about the inadequacy of the gate. Something's very wrong here. But what galls me the most is we still, after almost 20 years of having this bylaw, have contractors recommending the wrong pool. The applicant doesn't seem to be averse to buying expensive glass fencing, but he's using it to gate in his house. And had this pool been across the back of the yard instead of that way, it would have been a very attractive thing to have a pool at the back of your backyard with a glass enclosure around it and any amount of deck you want in the front. But now I have questions of staff about how this went wrong, and that we have a thing about gate enclosure being inadequate, but there's an actual fence around the pool, and I have no one to answer my questions. If I were the local councillor, I would be inclined to defer the decision on this and insist that we have staff here to help us.
Yes, so, I mean, the date and time of this meeting was posted months ago. All municipal licensing staff are aware of it. The ones who investigated this property should have been here. Obviously, we can't continue with city business on this item until they're here. I would agree the item has to be deferred so we can get the technical answers we're seeking. What's the consensus of committee? Okay. Okay, I'll move a motion to defer the item to the next regularly scheduled community council meeting.
And can I just say, this is an
Chair.
awkward situation in which the applicant has made a deputation, and ordinarily we only let them do that once, but they're kind of in an unfair situation. So if they want to attend and speak at the next meeting, I as council, I would indulge that as well.
I understand that that restriction just for statutory items? All right, well, we can vary the procedures if need be. All righty. Okay, so
Mr. Chair.
we'll consider the item, Mr. Shapiro, your item has been
Hello.
deferred to the next regularly scheduled Councilor Birdseye, you want to speak about deferral?
Yeah, I just want to find out if is there going to be any follow-up with MLS? Like, this is totally ridiculous. It's disrespectful to this council. It's disrespectful to the deputant who now has to take off another half day of work. Our staff are paid to be here. Is there not any supervision? Will there be any follow-up?
Well, as the chair, I will, and with the help of the clerk, we will work together to make sure that we're not happy with what's happened here today, and that we'd like staff here at the next meeting. How's that?
Well, I'm going to call Carlson Grant because, like, this is to Councillor Carroll's point. This has happened on more than one occasion, and being not happy doesn't seem to be good enough. Thank you.
All right, deferrals on the floor. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item 23.4. 390 Glencairn Avenue, application to remove a private tree. I do have a speaker on the item, Jared Tomlinson. Mr. Thompson, thank you for joining us. You have 5 minutes. Thank you. You have 5 minutes. Okay, can we get going here?
There we go. If my time could be reset. My name is Jared Tomlinson. I am an ISA board-certified master arborist, one of only a handful working in the GTA. My certification ID is ON-2473B. I'm also ISA tree risk assessment qualified. For anyone who wishes, you can verify my ISA credentials at treesaregood.org. That's treesaregood.org. I also qualify as a butternut health expert under Ontario Regulation 830/21. If you could please pull up the next slide. So the tree in question is a Colorado spruce located in 390 Glencairn Avenue's front yard. The tree was measured at 54.6 centimeters DBH. That's diameter at breast height. That is at 1.4 meters above grade. There are 2 biotic disorders, that is to say, health disorders caused by living stressors that are affecting this tree. The first is cytospora canker, which is a fungal infection. The second is an infestation of a very small insect called eastern spruce gall adelgid. I will tackle both of these biotic disorders in turn. Please pull up the next slide. So cytospora canker is a fungal disease that affects the woody tissue, usually of spruce trees. You can see circled in that photo 2 sunken lesions called cankers. They're exuding the characteristic whitish-bluish resin. These branches will die once the fungal infection completely circumscribes and girdles the branches. And usually the first sign from a distance of this infection is localized branch death in the lower half of the crown moving upwards. Now, in Urban Forestry's report to North York Community Council, they recommended that the infected branches simply be pruned out in a procedure called sanitation pruning. In my experience, sanitation pruning shows very limited effectiveness for a cytospora canker infection. I have had the opportunity to prescribe sanitation pruning for control of this disease and observe its effectiveness, and its effectiveness is limited. So I wanted to correct the record on that point. Please pull up the next slide. The second biotic disorder affecting this tree is an infestation of eastern spruce gall adelgid. So this is a small insect pest whose preferred hosts are spruce trees. Their feeding with their little piercing mouth parts interrupts the tree's regulation of its normal growth and causes the growth of these little galls. And the galls interrupt physiological function and cause branch tip dieback. I also wanted to correct the record on this. Urban Forestry, in their report to North York Community Council, characterized this as not a serious issue. However, this can be a very, very serious issue, especially for our native white spruce. Please pull up the next slide. You'll see in this image a white spruce located on the city road allowance adjacent to 512 Rouge Hills Drive that I observed recently. This tree is also suffering from an eastern spruce gall adelgid infestation and has lost approximately 50% of its live crown. So this also is a more serious health issue than urban forestry allows. If you could pull up the final slide. So Urban Forestry, in its report to North York Community Council, stated that this tree does not presently warrant a poor condition tree. However, that is not the argument that I made in my report to Urban Forestry for its removal. The argument that I made is that the biotic disorders affecting this tree are quite serious and not easily controlled, and that the removal of this tree actually reduces the pathogenic load in the area, protecting nearby higher value native white spruce trees. And I'll note that Toronto Municipal Code Chapter 813 lists the protection of ecological systems as a criterion based upon which an application may be evaluated. So whatever is actually decided is obviously up to council, but I just wanted to ensure that the argument that was actually made for the removal of this tree has been heard and understood by North York Community Council. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much for your comments. Any questions for the deputant? Councillor Burnside.
Yeah, thank you. Really just one. So you're talking about this viral load and protecting other higher value spruce trees in the area, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Did you look at the other trees in there? I know you looked at the adjacent tree on the city right of way, but did you have an opportunity to look at other trees to which you refer to ensure that they aren't currently infected?
No, but they are susceptible to infection. These are pathogenic agents with preferred hosts, right? Both cytospora canker and eastern spruce gall adelgid target spruce trees in particular. There are a number of spruce trees in the area, including native white spruces.
But if those other trees were infected, would there be any point in taking this one down? Or like, my point is, if the area is already infected, what's the point of taking it down? Is there a point? That, I guess, is my question.
I can't answer that question because I did not examine all of the nearby spruce trees. If the tree is infected,
Okay,
I
thank
mean,
you.
shall we leave that, or do you want me to continue commenting?
Oh, I'd love your insight.
I mean, if other trees are infected, yes, the efficacy of removing one tree will be less than if just one tree is infected.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Councillor Burnside. Any other questions for the deputant? Councillor Chang?
Thank you. What is the, I guess, percentage of occurrence in our city of this type of infection? Is this something we're seeing in 20% of spruce trees, 50%, or is it really rare and this is just a rare infection that has happened to this particular tree?
I can't give you quantitative data, but what I can tell you is that this species, Colorado spruce, which as its name suggests has been introduced from the Colorado Rockies, is particularly susceptible to the fungal infection, cytospora canker, and is frequently seen especially on sites where the trees are subjected to like urban stressors, pollution, road salt, reflected heat from hard surfaces. So on the city road allowance or near the city road allowance, these trees tend to be more susceptible to the cytospora canker infection. As far as the spruce gall adelgid infestation goes, it's less about whether the tree is stressed and more about species and the presence of insects in the area. The insects prefer white spruce and the introduced Norway spruce actually over Colorado spruce, the tree in question.
So are you suggesting that any tree that is infected should be taken down?
No, I think it has a lot to do with what else is in the area.
So in this situation, what is your recommendation?
I can support the removal of this tree for the reasons that I've given. There are other healthier Colorado spruces in the area. There are white spruces in the area. I would hate especially to see the white spruces suffering in the way that the white spruce pictured on that one slide was.
Because the picture of the tree is quite beautiful. Like it looks like a beautiful tree.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you're saying it's sick and keeping it could put other trees at risk, but we don't know if other trees are already infected. Is that correct?
Basically,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
And it is sick, you know. It takes a long time, as sometimes it does for humans, for disorders to manifest in very, very obvious ways. And by the time they do manifest in obvious ways, it's too late.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Councillor Chang. Any other questions for the deputant? Okay, I just have one. Is this tree at the end of its lifespan?
It is in the latter half of its lifespan.
Okay, thank you very much. Questions for staff? Councillor Carroll.
So if it's in the latter half of its lifespan, what is its lifespan and what's your prognosis?
Through the chair, there are a lot of factors that would affect that. I would say a Colorado spruce of that size might have 10, 20 healthy years left ahead of it without interference. The insects in question might diminish that somewhat. My opinion is that it wouldn't be to a great extent. I agree with the arborist, with the deputant's position that the tree's in the latter half of its life. But I think that when you look at the timescales involved, we could be close to the midpoint of that, not close to the end of that.
Right. So we're at the midpoint. So this is like your average 50-year tree. So being in the latter half, it can still contribute to our tree canopy for a good number of years.
It could be as young as 30 or 40 years, but yes, otherwise, yes.
Okay. And the arborist told us all about the dire effects of this contagion, but the report before us says that it can be maintainable and still considered not poor but healthy condition for some time, even with that ailment. That's the case?
Through the chair, hard to disentangle that. Can you ask that again? I want to be really
Well-
clear that I answer what you're looking for.
Well, we've just had a wonderful walkthrough of both of these tree ailments, the canker ailment and the gall, and the report that you've put before us doesn't dispute that it has those ailments, but it says that you can have those ailments and still be a healthy and maintainable tree for some time.
Through the chair, I've spoken before about how the bylaw confines our position to trees being healthy or poor. It's a binomial distinction. And of those two distinctions, we find that this tree is healthy. It would be my opinion that this tree could tolerate both of those infections for many years to come. Pruning would largely be a cosmetic improvement. We're not
Right.
suggesting that it would eradicate the infection or insects or anything like that, especially when a tree is healthy. And I think that on the balance of things, this one is more so than not. They can tolerate this kind of pest load and disease load and pressure much better than trees that are in poor condition, such as the one as the deputy
Right.
showed in his photos.
Okay, so that's the distinction. If a tree is kind of in poor condition to begin with, these can be devastating diseases, but this tree was healthy to begin with. Now it has these aphids.
Correct, and if it was in
Okay.
poor condition to begin with, we wouldn't have brought it to community council. We would have approved the removal request.
Right, okay, I think I have it. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Carroll. Any other questions for staff? Councillor Cole.
Yes, just trying to understand the medical diagnosis here. It's a bit complicated. Never heard such a well-researched medical diagnosis of a tree. Wow. Anyways, commend the arborist for that. But he talks about this biotic disorder. What is a biotic disorder?
Through the chair, a biotic disorder merely identifies it as an agent of a biological nature as opposed to an abiotic disorder, which would be something like the soil or environmental factors or something like that.
So is this like the, what's it called, the spruce budworm or whatever?
Spruce budworm is a very different pest with a completely different life cycle, but it would be another biotic pathogen or disorder.
So is this disorder widespread amongst our tree canopy in Toronto?
So I've spent many years in the private sector and working for this city, and it's not something that I see on a regular basis. If, over the course of a year of caring for client properties, I might encounter it half a dozen times, but it could occur in pockets where it might be more prevalent than that.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, in terms of the reality of the rationale why I don't know if you could answer that, or building, or whoever could answer it. The rationale is that the tree is in the way of a rebuild, right, of a home?
Through the chair, that information hasn't been brought to us.
Okay, so what rationale did the owner give in terms of why, besides the biotic medical condition, for the removal of the tree?
Through the chair, we go by the information that's submitted in the arborist report and any follow-up information that occurs through our review and discussion or dialogue with the applicant. To the best of my ability to understand that conversation, the case for removal was based on the presence of the pests and the potential for the tree to fail under wind conditions, so the risk of failure. We commented on those specifically in our report. We're not discounting those as we understand that owners have fears and that's normal, but we don't find that the likelihood of failure of the tree falling over is unreasonably high. There's nothing indicating that that would likely occur, or it's more likely to occur. And as we noted in our report, and I've said this morning, the pest load is not so great that it warrants a poor condition rating.
So basically, it's just the owner's safety concerns that were brought to bear along with the biotic condition of the tree.
That's
There's no
correct.
other factors, but just basically a fear of the tree falling.
I mean, I have to be careful about not putting words into someone else's mouth. We're going by the report that was brought to us. It did cite a concern for tree failure, and we've responded to that, but I don't have any more information than that about how important or critical or relevant that is to the owner. I'm sorry.
Okay, so that, I don't think, there's no other condition or situation was brought to staff's attention, you or other members of staff, I'm not sure.
I mean, through the chair this morning, the deputant spoke very cogently to, matters of external, like health around the tree and other trees in question. I haven't seen that in the application, but it was well presented and has been discussed this morning. So that was an
Okay.
additional reason.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Any other questions for staff? I just have a couple. The alternative recommendation, other than the staff recommendation to deny, is to plant 5 replacement trees or in a combination of cash and lieu. Has the property owner agreed to that?
We haven't brought that alternative recommendation to the applicant at this stage. The planting that was proposed was 1 replacement tree, which is normal in the context of the request that was made. Our recommendation to Community Council as the alternate recommendation is always 5 replacement trees if a tree is approved by this body.
Now, with the tree in question for removal at the latter half of its lifespan, isn't it prudent to get some new trees in the ground so that they can flourish and be healthy and grow? Isn't this the time?
Through the chair, I'm with the utmost respect. I would suggest there's an and, not an or, at stake there. There's no reason the applicant or anyone else can't plant more trees. Replanting is a consequence of, in forestry's permitting process, replanting is a consequence of an approved application to remove a tree. If this tree was in poor condition, we would approve the request subject to replanting. It's in healthy condition. We prefer the existing tree over replacements.
Okay, fair enough. All right, I'm done. Any other questions for staff? No? Speakers? Councillor Cole.
Yeah, this is a difficult one because, whenever it comes to a tree and the condition of the tree, I mean, this is a tree that's probably going to last for a number of years. And so it's very difficult to get it removed given the height and the impact of the tree canopy. The only thing is that this family who owns this property and lives there has a concern, and when you're a homeowner and you have this constant sort of thing on your mind about a tree that's maybe going to endanger their safety or whatever down the road, whenever, because I've had cases of this before. I remember there was a case where the tree was creaking, and I asked forestry, and our forestry department does a great job. This is a tree on Glencairn Avenue. And so I reported the neighbors concerned about the tree creaking, and they were afraid of the tree falling, etc. And forestry said, oh, no, this will last another 20, 30 years. We don't have to take it down. Well, lo and behold, within the next year, the tree did fall and fell right on the person's new F-150 red truck, destroying it. So I'm always very, very reluctant to disregard the fear concerns of a neighbor. As unusual as that is, it did happen. I can just recall that person calling me and said, "Mike, the tree fell on my truck. I told you." And whatever. So I just will support the homeowner's request to remove the tree and replace it with 5 other trees to be replanted either on-site or off-site. So it has to be subject to those 5 other trees being, to replace that existing tree.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Councillor Cole has moved the alternative recommendation, which can be seen on page 3 of the staff report. Any other speakers? Councillor Carroll?
Thanks. Yeah, I am going to want to be recorded in the negative on that. The issue that I have is really goes back to an answer that Mr. Bostock gave. And, you know, we have respect for all arborists, but I'm glad that we put our city arborists through his paces to answer all those questions, because we often forget, we just see the appeals here, and we often forget that many times arborists attend and recommend removal. And we never hear about those. They happen. They're not entirely unreasonable. And so what clinches it for me is Mr. Bostock's answer that, you know, he's mindful of the ailments that the applicant's arborist described so well. He's mindful of those ailments, but it comes down to him, a healthy tree can withstand those. This particular pesky aphid. A tree in poorer condition can't, and if it were in poorer condition, he would have happily approved the removal, and it would never be before us today. The issue here is that it is healthy, it is maintainable, and can withstand those ailments for many years. And on that basis, he's upholding our tree bylaw. So in terms of the approval to remove, I'd love to record the vote so that I can be recorded in the negative. Thank you.
Okay, we'll do a recorded vote on this item. Any other speakers before I speak? So I'll be supporting the property owner and supporting the local councillor in the request to remove this tree. I think the property owner was quite responsible, hired a professional arborist, made a compelling case in front of this community council. It was detailed with a lot of terminology that I had not heard before. This tree is on its last legs, and I never thought 10 years would be last legs, but this is our opportunity to plant 5 new trees on this property and make sure that they are healthy and they flourish and they grow into wonderful part of our forest canopy. So if we let this go on, this tree, you know, is probably going to be dead within 10 years, and we'll have lost this opportunity to plant 5 new trees. So I'm going to be supporting this. Now, there also is word that the property owner does want to rebuild on the site, and that this tree prevents that. And I'm a firm believer that when you buy a property, you should have rights to within the process to build, and this tree inhibits those plans. So for those reasons, a compelling case, some technical data, the opportunity to actually add trees to our forest canopy, for those reasons, I'm going to be supporting the alternative recommendation moved by the local councillor.
Point of order, in my motion, I didn't say that 5 trees be planted on the site, but at least 1 tree be planted on the site, and the 4 others could be planted off-site.
Okay, are you amending? The alternative recommendation does say provide 5 replacement trees, which can be achieved in combination of on-site planting and cash in lieu planting.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
That's okay?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. So Councillor Carroll has asked for a recorded vote on this item. So we'll put we'll vote on the alternative recommendation, which we'll put on the screen. There we go. All those in favor. Councillor Cole, Councillor Chernos-Lynn, and Councillor Pasternak, and Councillor Burnside. Opposed, Councillor Carroll and Councillor Cheng. That carries. Thank you very much to our deputant and the property owner. Number 6, 23.6. Councillor Cole, you had held this item? Okay. Questions for staff? There's no deputations. Questions for staff?
Is there a speaker, a deputant?
I don't have anyone. 6,
Six.
yeah. I do not have anyone listed on this item. So, Councillor Cole, questions for staff?
Yes, and I just was asking questions on this item because it is part of a couple of other items on the agenda, including a motion that I have been putting forward, asking for the provincial minister of municipal affairs and the office of the attorney general to ask for a pause in approving or reviewing these applications before the provincial Ontario Land Tribunal. And the reason I'm doing this is because these applications here are part of a series of applications. First of all, how many residential development applications do we have before us or at the tribunal in this Marley, Glencairn area at this present time, along with this one at Viewmount?
Through you, Mr. Chair, currently under review, so that would be active applications, including those appealed. To date, there are 7 active applications in this area.
7 active, but I'm counting 15 applications that are either been deemed complete applications or are at the tribunal or have been basically approved at the tribunal and are in the process of maybe proceeding with construction. I've counted 15. You've got 7.
This wouldn't include those proceeding under construction. I'm just talking about ones that don't have zoning approval yet. If you include ones that would be under construction and have at least one level of zoning approval, then in the last 5 years, there are at least 17, 18.
So we're up to 17 or 18. So when our staff looks at these applications, do they look at the cumulative effect of all these applications, residential applications, and how they're impacting an area's infrastructure, for instance? Or do they look at these individually as one-offs?
So through the individual applications, when applicants provide their reports to support their applications, such as a servicing report, they do need to take into account other active applications that are the cumulative impact when they're, and how that impacts the total servicing, for example, or transportation as well.
So the staff, when transportation staff or our Parks Department, Toronto Hydro, Toronto Water, when they report on this one application here at Viewmount Avenue for the, I guess there's 2 towers, do they take into account that this application by itself does not give the full picture of the impact on the ability of the hard infrastructure, especially to essentially sustain this type of residential development?
Right, so when staff are reviewing the background reports that the applicant submits, those reports need to contain the information as part of our terms of reference that looks at the existing area and what other active applications are in the area.
Okay, and so at this point here, in this report, you're requesting, if the appeal is allowed, the OLT withhold the order. Do you want to explain that?
Yes, the recommendations of the staff report are to oppose the application as it is.
To what? I didn't hear that.
The recommendation is to oppose the application as it is and to continue discussions with the applicant in an effort to resolve outstanding issues. Should the OLT approve the application, either through a contested hearing or not, we do request that there be a number of conditions that be included as part of that decision. Those conditions would be sign-off of staff satisfaction of the technical reports, such as the functional servicing report, to ensure that there is capacity to support the development application, confirmation of wind study and potential wind mitigation efforts, as well as, in this case, also reviewing rental housing demolition requirements.
Okay, so essentially that this report is asking the North York Community Council to send our professional planning staff and lawyers to the Ontario Land Tribunal in opposition to this development.
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much for that clarification.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Any other questions for staff on this item? Councillor Carroll, was that a hand going up?
No,
No?
that was just me describing something.
All right, speakers, just a reminder, we are on item 6, series of addresses on Viewmount and Rollmore Crescent. Councillor Cole to speak.
Yes, just to speak to this item, you know, if this was just a item by itself to approve these two towers of 35 and 39 stories, over 1,000 units, I could possibly recommend that we consider maybe working with the applicant and trying to figure out something in itself. The dilemma that I face and the community faces is that you heard from staff, there are up to 17 active tower applications in a very, let's say, mixed community. I know the chair knows Marley Avenue very well. The Marley Avenue is still a conglomeration of single-family homes, the residue of the old City of York planning, which allowed about 15 towers to go up with no community facilities down near Eglinton. And now, all of a sudden, because of the new provincial, the latest terminology the province has handed down to us as provincial planning policy, that if you're anywhere near a subway transit station, there is really no limit to the number of stories, units, the number of towers that can go near these subway stations. So I've got the Lawrence West Station, the Glencairn Station, and the Eglinton West Station in there. And so we all support higher order of residential development near transit. The trouble is, this is not Yonge and Eglinton. So almost the same rules are being applied here at Yonge and Eglinton as Yonge and Eglinton. So therefore, the development community, which is hearing the call of the need to build housing, has overwhelmed this community with historically unprecedented number of residential developments impacting not only the neighboring single-family homes, but also overwhelming the infrastructure. There is no way that Marley Avenue can handle any more cars, buses, trucks. You know, Marley Avenue is almost like a residential neighborhood street that is the bastard son of the Allen Expressway, which has turned into this incredible roadway. So the provincial policy basically has a one-size-fits-all approach. So whether it's Yonge and Eglinton or Yonge and Bloor, if you're anywhere near a transit station, there are no height restrictions. There's no density restrictions. So I've got 17 of these on the go. I don't know how many total units I have here, maybe 7,000, 8,000. Casey, I don't know how many. How many units? About 5,000 units, residential units. We don't have a library. We don't have a senior center. We don't have, God forbid, a recreation center. We have nowhere even to have a public meeting when we host these community consultation meetings. And so these developments here at Viewmount, rightfully so, staff is asking for opposition to go to the Ontario Land Tribunal. But, you know, the tragedy is, as you know, 96% of all applications that are heard before the government's Ontario Land Tribunal are approved. So we have no alternative but to try and fight and try and get some improvements. But this is why I'll be talking about this further in my motion to ask for a pause until the Glen Cairn Marley study is done before we allow all these unprecedented number of residential towers to go into this community. So I'm supporting a staff recommendation to go to the Ontario Land Tribunal and try their best to oppose it. Thank you.
Well, I wish staff luck up there. Councillor Carroll.
I just wanted to add to Councillor Cole's infrastructure list. And you're right, and this really speaks to this item and the update on the study. An often forgotten one, but a key one, Division 33 Police Division in this area is comically small. I went to visit it recently. 13 Division, thank you. The officers literally get log jammed and stuck in their own locker room on the way back out where they load their BWC and their taser items, because you go into a tiny little corner of a basement in a tiny little police division, and meanwhile the community just keeps growing and growing and growing. And they need to rebuild that. And if they rebuilt it and enlarged that division, there's no place to put the cars. And it's an oft-forgotten thing in our list of infrastructure needs, but it's really a dire situation. And so it really needs to be folded into consideration of these items. I don't think the province doesn't understand that. That's why we're asking them to please help us with our police capital budget, because they've taken away our ability to collect the money to build it in our infrastructure plan. So I wholeheartedly support Councillor Cole on this.
Just a point of order, a point of information. That same police division has been rammed by trucks and cars speeding down the Allen, thinking that the Allen continues south of Eglinton. They end up inside the police division, crashing into the walls. So they've had to put up barriers. So don't get me started on the police infrastructure.
I'm not sure if that's a point of order, but I thank you. I thank you for your comments. I would simply add that yes, I am familiar with Marley, and I was actually on that street recently, and no offense, but I hope not to return in the distant future. But yeah, there's no doubt that there's serious traffic congestion in that area, despite the fact that there is, in fact, a subway station quite nearby. The Lawrence West subway station is pretty close. But there's no doubt that the traffic congestion, and that's happening across the city, where we're building at a rate in which the infrastructure and road network cannot possibly keep up. And the only real solution is continue to build transit, which the city obviously fell a good 30 years behind. As other cities were building high-level transit, we were sleeping, and we didn't have partners in both Ottawa and Queen's Park. We actually do now, where we are getting a lot of federal and provincial money and support. So hopefully that is a roadway and a roadmap to solving some of these congestion problems. But I'm supporting the local councillor, and if we're sending staff to appeal, I wish them luck. It's a very tough thing to win, but that's clearly what's being done before us now. So, Councillor Cole, you're moving
Staff recommendations.
staff recommendations on item 6. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We held item 7 for speakers.
Yeah. Very, very active little division. Very responsive. They do great work in Little Jamaica.
All right, I understand on the next item, there's a staff presentation. Councillor Cole, did you request a staff presentation?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to put a cap on that, and who's doing the presentation? Okay, how much time do you think you need? 5 minutes is great. There's only 30 seconds left in your 5 minutes.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of Community Council. My name is Valeria Maurizio. I'm a senior planner here in Strategic Initiatives Policy and Analysis and City Planning. I'm joined with my colleague Erica Ivanek, also of Strategic Initiatives, and we're here as co-leads of the Growing Glen Cairn study. We also have our lead consultant, Kieran Chiba from O2 Planning and Design, here if there are any technical questions of his work. So we're here today to provide you an update of the Growing Glen Cairn study. It is a comprehensive local area study around the Glen Cairn subway station. This area, as we've just heard, has a number of development applications in it, and so we are doing this study as the main purpose to get a hold of that growth. We know that growth is coming, and we're looking for a framework and a plan to manage it. We want to ensure that the growth positively contributes to a transit-supportive, complete, and healthy community. And a part of that is to identify the required investments that we'll need in both soft and hard infrastructure and such other facilities to support this growth, healthy living, and complete communities. We also need to meet provincial policy and legislation, as this area is near a transit station, and so a delineation of a major transit station area, a protected major transit station area, is part of the study purpose as well. And of course, we're always looking for solutions to reduce the impacts of extreme weather and work towards the city's goal of a net carbon emissions by 2040. Here's a brief overview of the study area. The area in red is our primary study area, which represents approximately 800 meters around Glen Cairn subway station. For those that might not be familiar, this is in Ward 8. We are along the Allen Road, along Line 1, Young University Spadina line, and roughly just south of Lawrence Avenue West. There are larger catchment areas for both mobility and community services and facilities, recognizing that these areas serve our catchment area as well. The study is structured in 3 phases. We started the study in fall, August, September of 2024, where we did a lot of background information gathering on existing conditions in the area, identifying strengths, challenges, weaknesses, and opportunities. All this background work did lead to an emerging vision and draft guiding principles to inform the next phases of the study, and that is what is in the report today before you. So we are here at the end of phase 1, providing an update and having a draft vision and guiding principles, which we'll hear of. And then in the spring, we're looking to continue with phase 2 of the study, which is where we get into the nitty-gritty of developing options for potential growth for a build-out to 2051 and identifying land uses and all of the other components of a framework and an evaluation framework for that, how to develop those options and assess them. And then finally, in phase 3, we're intending to report back And that'll include a draft official plan amendment with a delineation and strategies for growth. So in the report that you have, there are 3 recommendations. The first one, we are requesting City Council to endorse the emerging vision and guiding principles as the basis for further technical work and community engagement. The draft options that we will be providing and preparing in phase 2 would need to be aligned with those principles that we've established through community engagement and our background work. Secondly, we are requesting that staff consider the emerging vision and guiding principles in the review of all current and future development applications within the primary study area, as we recognize that change is coming, and we are starting to put the bones of that framework together. And then finally, in phase 3, we are recommending that we report back by Q2 2026 with a final planning framework, including area-based policies, a delineation of the protected master transit station area, and strategies for implementation. So this would be strategies like a parks and public realm strategy, mobility strategy, basically the how of the vision and the outcomes of the study.
Good morning, members of council. Mr. Chair, if it's okay, I'd like to take a couple more minutes. We underestimated.
We're not that stingy here. What's the will of committee? We can grant it a couple. Yes, okay, we're good. We're good. Very friendly here, very friendly.
All right, a little bit of summary on our engagement process. In fall of 2025, we had a series of in-person and virtual engagement with the community. It included recruitment of our community advisory circle, combination of residents, business and community organizations. We had an in-person community design workshop and a number of virtual activities, including a social pinpoint or interactive map, and a survey on our draft vision and principles, as well as postcards sent to 13,000 households and businesses. So we're asking you, we're recommending endorsement of the emerging vision and guiding principles today. So it is the emerging vision. Marley Glencairn is the name that was chosen through our community engagement to represent this community. The vision speaks to the community as a vibrant, resilient, and inclusive neighborhood, which really features Marley Avenue as an enhanced and thriving commercial main street, and speaks to strong connections for transportation, mobility, public realm, building on the assets that are already there in the community. I will highlight this is just a portion of the vision. If you look at attachment 1 to the staff report, we have the full emerging vision, 6 guiding principles, which I'll speak to quite briefly. And if you're looking for more detail, those are in the key moves in attachment 1. As I mentioned, we have 6 guiding principles. The first speaks to a vibrant community with access to daily needs. A key move on this front is with respect to enhancing that pedestrian character of the neighborhood in Marley. We heard that strongly through the community. Second is a welcoming and connected public realm network, so including parks, open spaces, and building on those assets of the Allen Greenway and the Beltline trails in the community. Third is a safe, accessible, and well-connected mobility network. So we're really looking to strengthen the mobility connections both north-south and east-west across the community, recognizing that Allen Road is a major physical barrier. Fourth, a full range of housing types and forms. So this will include inclusionary zoning through the Protected Major Transit Station Area Framework. Fifth is a range of community-focused services and facilities. So looking at the community facilities that are there that are generally centered north of Lawrence, south of Eglinton, and looking for what improvements or additional facilities may be needed to support the growth. And sixth, a green and climate resilient neighborhood. So this includes moves such as protecting and enhancing the existing tree canopy and looking for opportunities to implement climate resilient infrastructure. In terms of next steps, as Valeria mentioned, we are entering into phase 2 of the study, which includes identifying 3 options to guide the growth, including an emerging preferred option. And we'll be back out to the community next fall to engage specifically on that. We are reporting on the emerging vision and guiding principles at this stage to specifically recognize all of the development activity in the community so that both may continue to inform each other. As part of this
All right.
phase.
All right, you're just ready to wrap up? I mean, we're friendly, but not that friendly.
All right, and our last phase is finalizing the preferred options. So we're going to report back in Q2 2026, so just over 1 year, with the final land use changes, area-based policies, and a strategy for public realm and infrastructure improvements.
Great. Well, thank you very much for that. That is, looks like wonderful work that's going on. What we can do is we can have questions for the presenters and then do questions for staff. So why don't we start that? Why don't I do that first? I think I see Councillor Carroll has questions for the presenters. And then when that's done, we'll go to questions for staff.
Oh, okay. Let Valeria sit down. Yeah. While you're getting there, I'll ask my question, my main concern. These PMTSAs, that's the mouthful, they take a while to do. We're not going to see this one till 26, and I know you've been working on it for a while. So how much cooperation are you going to get from applicants who are current? We have Viewmount before us today. Do we have the province backing us up at all in order to get the PMTSA study done? Do we have the cooperation from the province to back us up when we say to applicants, we need to finish this study to fully consider your application, and it's going to be worth it to wait? Do we get any purchase with that statement?
So through the chair, what I would say is we have certainly tried to encourage the applicants that have come in to try to wait and work with us on the outcome of the study. Obviously, a lot of applicants take that advice and still decide to appeal it.
Oh, okay.
But what I would say is when we get to the OLT, we will continue having discussions with the applicants. I think you heard during the presentation, one of our recommendations is to try to apply the principles and the emerging vision to these ongoing applications, and we're going to put best efforts to do that. So, if there are specific, let's say, for example, public realm improvements we want to see in the area that is coming out of this emerging vision and principles, we will try to encourage that to happen through those development applications. There's no guarantee, obviously,
Right.
because these policies are not in effect yet, right? And will not be in effect for a period of time. So we will continue to strongly encourage through the negotiation process at the OLT.
But if they take you to the OLT, can we make two arguments there? Can we say, we're this far along in the study, there is an emerging vision, please support us in these principles, but also, if the OLT will indulge us, we're doing this study as a provincial requirement, let us finish it and ask this applicant to hold off. Some of these are, the big six developers, and they have the cash flow, they could wait.
I'll probably turn that over to our city solicitor because of the litigation that's ongoing.
I don't want to go there. She's going to say no can do.
Through the chair, unfortunately, there is a principle called the clergy principle, and what it says is that an applicant is entitled to work with a legal framework that's in force the day they make their application.
On
And it's
that
not
day.
on that day, and that's the rule. Now, that's not to say that the new emerging direction has no weight. It's considered relevant but not determinative. So it certainly would form part in this theoretical instance of why the city is advancing its case and good evidence of that, but they're not bound by it.
Okay. Some solace. Okay, I got it. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. Oh, no, we can't have, if you want to register with the clerk to speak on this item, that'd be great. But no, we can't have debates.
Sorry.
No, but we can't, we could never run, no, I appreciate that. Please, you can register with the clerk and we'd be happy to hear you. We're right over here? Okay, and we'd be happy to add you to the list. No, you can speak. No one said you couldn't speak. The clerk is over there. If you want to give your name, we'd be happy to give you 5 minutes. I understand. I understand. Okay. Okay. No, thank you very much. Well, you can speak. You know, we'd be happy to hear you. Okay. So back to questions for the presenters. Are there any other questions for the presenters? Yes, Councillor Chernos Lynn, and then we do have another speaker right after. We have two more speakers after we're done. Questions for the presenters. Councillor Chernos Lynn.
I have a question just as a follow-up on that explanation of the clergy principle. What I'm having trouble understanding from staff on this is it seems like sometimes the planning department, or at least like the approach is that because the direction from the province is, even though it hasn't been officially given, the sense is that, or it hasn't officially been done, planning is following, like, I'm confused about when the clergy principle truly applies, because it feels like the explanations that I've had, like, I'm not entirely sure. Like, we've sometimes passed, let's say, the secondary plan or things like that, but because direction from the province hasn't officially approved other pieces, but they've put it out there but not officially approved it, we're not falling back on the, like, I guess this is the first I've heard about the clergy principle, so it seems like it's, why aren't we referring to this more when it would benefit us?
Through the chair, maybe I'll start, and our solicitor, and I'm trying to piece together your comment there, because sometimes we get this question about development happening within the MTSA boundaries. So your example, and I was trying to understand what you were trying to get at, and so, you know, I think you probably
You've understood me.
what I think I would say to that is, Council has obviously adopted the major transit station area boundaries in most of the transit station areas. It is with the province right now for approval. So even though the province has not approved it, Council has already adopted that direction. And you know, as part of that direction, and I would say also the provincial policies, it's incumbent on us to still consider planning applications and make sure that they are consistent with the provincial policies, even though the major transit station area boundaries have not been approved by the province yet. It's the wording that is in the provincial policy statement that we follow. I know it's kind of confusing because part of it is I would have to walk you through the specific language in the provincial policy statement to get to that point.
All right. Councillor
happy to do
Chernos,
that.
why don't we take that offline? All right. Councillor Chang. No, this is, okay. So our questions for the presenters finished? Because there's two more deputations. Okay, so Councillor Chang.
I just want to piggyback off what Councillor Chernos Lynn was talking about. So we hear that the PMTSAs have not been ratified by the province, but they have been passed by the city. So we're living in this in-between phase where developers see that policy and make submissions according to the PMTSA, but because it's not ratified, they're not forced to do inclusionary zoning. So we're really now, we've exploded our map with the PMTSAs, allowing so much density and not having the tools that we initially envisioned to be able to achieve affordable housing through development. So what tools do we have to, because it sounds like we can't pause. We can't say, let's wait for PMTSAs to be ratified. We can't pause to say the secondary plan needs to be passed first. So what tools do we have to I think, control some of this explosive density that doesn't have really the necessary funding to make complete communities that we want. We don't have Section 37, we've lost development charges, and we can't get inclusionary zoning. So what tools, if any, do we have, or are we just completely at the mercy of the province, explode the map, don't build affordable housing, don't have money to build community centers, and good luck, everyone? What is the reality that we're living in right now?
So through the chair, I'm probably going to turn it over to our lawyer on that one, because I think, part of the answer is it will become a legal and planning argument at the OLT as to what to do in the interim period where the minister has not approved the boundaries, but we are dealing with planning applications, and those planning applications still have to be consistent with provincial policies and also meet our own official plan, which our own official plan encourages intensification around transit areas, transit station. So, sorry, I'll turn the rest over to our solicitor.
I think the short answer is that we are creatures of the province, and we kind of have to deal with the hand we're dealt. And at this moment, I certainly concur with planning that we have been directed. These PMTSAs form part of our official plan. We can't roll that back. But yes, there is this seeming lag where we have approved them, but we still don't have the powers they were meant to give us. And there are some mechanisms that we have, such as the CBC and development charges, to build the things we want to build. But yes, those things have been scaled back and are limited in nature.
Peanuts we get, little tiny peanuts. But I'm wondering about the heights that we're envisioning. So here in this Glencairn secondary plan, we're hearing, there's a desire to be hovering around 30, but we see 40-story applications coming through that are listed. And we know that in Oakville, the province has put 52-story buildings near the GO station, to the shock of people in Oakville that don't have super towers in their neighborhood. So who is deciding that 40, 50, 60-story towers are a good thing, and that when we have a subway station, that is the height we should be growing towards? Where is that pressure coming from? And I guess my second part of that question is, has anyone done an analysis on whether a 50-story building is actually a good idea, not just for, emergency services or mental health, social fabric? What are the impacts of living in a 50-story building? And are they actually good for Torontonians?
Through the chair, through the study, we will be recommending land use changes, so that will come in Q2 2026, which will include, whether areas should be mixed use and the densities that the sites can accommodate. So that work is underway, and through phase 2 in the fall, we'll be engaging on options in order to accommodate the density requirements.
But is there a provincial pressure about heights around subway stations? That's my question. Are we feeling some pressure that the province is moving us towards the 40, 50, 60 range?
So through the chair, I would say there is absolutely pressure. So I think, as we've explained before, that the provincial policies require us to identify these MTSA areas. We have to plan for a minimum density, I'll say minimum, of 200 people and jobs per hectare. And, this Glencairn subway station is one of the lowest served subway stations in all of the city. It's about 5,600 people a day that may use this subway station, so very low numbers. And so we need to obviously increase that. And the density that is existing in this area is around 71 people and jobs per hectare right now. So absolutely, we're not even at the minimum, let alone going beyond the minimum.
Thank you. Those are my questions.
I, sorry, I just have a very quick one, and then, are we still following the guidelines of final recommendation report, growing up, planning for children in vertical communities, urban design guidelines adopted by council in June of 2020?
So through the chair, we typically do still follow those guidelines. And what we do is we try to achieve the minimum 2 bedrooms and 3 bedroom units. Where we do provide some flexibility is actually in the size of the units, but the actual unit count is being achieved.
So these are still stand as City of Toronto official policy when we're talking about the vertical city?
Official guidelines.
Official guidelines. Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Cole?
Yeah, I think we're getting into a real conundrum here because these are major planning issues we're dealing with. And I hope our planning committee takes these up because really this hasn't been really dealt with in a comprehensive way. But I just want to get to the Glencairn study. So the study is now going to be called the Growing Glencairn Marley Study, right? Can we call it that?
Marley Glencairn.
So it's the Growing Marley Glencairn Study, right? So we can say that, label it that?
Yep. Yes, sorry.
Or do I have to move a motion to
No.
change the name to reflect the study area?
No, we can call it that.
Okay, so that's allowed. Okay, now, the boundaries of the study, and I've raised this at staff levels, is it's 800 meters, and it doesn't include the Marley all the way down to Eglinton, which is really what the Marley area is really referred to. It's from Lawrence to Eglinton, and there are all kinds of new development applications occurring right down at Eglinton. So how do can we alter the boundaries to include everything down to Eglinton, which has the new Cedarvale Eglinton LRT station that'll be open sometime in the next century? So can we not include that?
Through you,
Can we
Mr.
change
Chair.
those boundaries to go all the way to Eglinton, just about a block south?
Through you, Mr. Chair, so the study boundaries represent approximately 800 meters around the Glencairn subway station. The reason that is there is directly from the provincial planning statement, which requires MTSAs to be delineated within a general walking distance of 500 to 800 meters around a transit station. So going all the way to Eglinton is beyond that. Further, the Eglinton West is a PMTSA, and so there is a delineation around that subway station as well as the Cedarvale LRT already.
This is hard. This is very confusing.
So through the chair, the boundaries for Eglinton and Lawrence have already been established for those MTSA areas around the subway station. Glencairn has not been established, and that's why we are doing it.
Okay, that's better. Thank you, David. So that's how I find it. Now, so the city has approved an MTSA for this area. Has that been approved by the city council, MTSA, for the Glencairn area?
No, through the chair, that has not been, and that's why when we complete this study, we will be bringing forward an official plan amendment that will delineate that boundary.
So there is no MTSA that exists right now around the Glencairn station?
There is no formal boundary right now, correct?
Right. So when an applicant comes to you asking to build 7 40-story buildings, and they say, well, this is within the subway station catchment area of 800 meters, don't you tell them, well, there is no MTSA here, so we don't want to look at your application?
Through the chair, the problem is that the idea of an MTSA is defined in the provincial policies. It's not a secret. The radius around the subway station is to be considered. What the city does when it passes it more formally is it defines those boundaries more clearly. But it would be very hard to suggest that the entire area right around the subway station was not a PMTSA or an MTSA because the cat's out of the bag on the definition of those.
So in other words, there is another provincial policy statement, which is really a new piece of their planning onslaught that supersedes, it doesn't matter whether it's MTSA or not. They say, well, there's a provincial planning statement which allows or certainly makes it possible for you at the city to consider these applications because of this provincial planning statement, which doesn't need an MTSA to be passed. So is this what the developers say?
It's something to that effect. The idea is that there's clear direction in the provincial policies that tell us the expectation for development around subway stations and other transit, and that is precisely the thrust. Yes.
That was your last question.
Okay, thank you.
That was your last question. Okay, so we're done with questions to the presenter. We now have two more deputants. Barbara Cook. Okay, Ms. Cook. Miss Cook? Could you please unmute?
Okay.
Ms. Cook?
Hear me? I'm muted.
Yes, Ms. Cook, we can hear you. You have 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. I'm a resident of this area. I moved in here in 1978 renting, so I could take the bus over to Glencairn Station and get downtown to my work. I now own a home that's 1 block west of Marley on Waddell Avenue, and I was shocked to see the
We're having trouble hearing you. Yeah, please turn off your cameras, so maybe that will help. Might just turn off your cameras. Maybe we'll just work on audio. Yeah, you may have accidentally muted, so we cannot hear you. Can you hear me? Put a thumbs up if you can hear me. Oh, yes, so you can hear me. We cannot hear you. So just check your mute button, unmute, and then turn off your video so that we have a better internet connection. Can you turn off your video and unmute your mic?
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. I'll restart your clock. You have 5 minutes.
Hi there. I'm a resident. I live on Riddell Avenue, 1 block west of Marley Avenue. I started renting. I bought a home because it was such a nice neighborhood to live in. I was shocked to see the bills that are proposed on Marley Avenue, the 35 to 40% stories up. And I totally support what Councillor Coe has said in the previous item. in that this is a community that this is not like a major area. This is Glencairn Station is different than having builds on a major street like Eglinton and Lawrence. One of the things that will happen when we have all these high buildings is we're going to have increased congestion, which was addressed, and we'll have increased noise from the cars that are running around the streets. Because even now, with the cars running through cannot get through the major streets, are running through the side streets, making incredible noise. This noise can be handled, and I would like it to be added to the city planning for this this item. In particular, there's a few things that can be done because there are such things that have been in use in New York called noise cameras that can work essentially the same way as a speed camera, recording the noise, issuing tickets, reducing the noise in the area, making it more easy to get around and easier on the residents. Noise is a health issue. I'm very concerned about that, and very concerned about what my lifestyle will be after living this area since 1978. The other thing I'm concerned about is rezoning of the area and being too commercial on Marley Avenue. I am really nervous about having a night economy being moved in there where we get noise, traffic, people congestion all day long and all night long. The World Health Organization recommends much lower decibels that is healthy for humans than what is allowed in Toronto to date. And with the new night economy, that goes all night long and it's not healthy. I'm really worried about my standard of living um, and how we are going to handle that. And I had expected to see more triplexes, sixplexes in smaller buildings than here. Like as Councillor Cole mentioned, Glencairn is a community, it's single homes, and introducing these buildings really changes the landscape of the neighborhood. Excuse me, I'm very dry. Um, I did send my comments to Casey of your office, Councillor Cole. She has all my comments on this, and I just want to reiterate them and let the people know that there are other options. And I think noise is a tremendous option to add into uh, your your study here. Um, I'm sure there is more. By the way, I found out about this meeting quite by accident, not through anything dropped into my mailbox. I am very close to Marley, and I would like to be in this neighborhood.
Okay.
I'm going to
You're,
stop it from
oh,
there.
I'm sorry, I thought you were
It's just
done.
too much. Thank you for the time.
So,
I'm done.
Ms.
Thanks.
Cook, you're done? Or, I'm sorry. Almost done. Okay, if you could wrap up.
Yes, I'm done.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
done. Okay. Any questions for the deputant?
Just, Barbara, it's Mike Cole. Did you not receive any information about the growing Marley Glencairn study in your door, in a mailbox, or anything like that, about the study? Okay, maybe she's gone.
All right, we'll leave it at
No,
that.
nothing
Okay.
at all.
I'd
And
like
I've talked to
to,
quite a few neighbors on my streets, and they had not as well.
all right, thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Cole. Any other questions for the deputant?
Hello?
No? Okay, thank you, Ms. Cook. Mari Spazveska? Sorry, Mary Spazveska? Okay, thank you very much for joining us. You have 5 minutes.
What I had on my computer, I don't have internet, but I did send it to Casey. So if Casey can kind of link it up. My main thing is, I live a block away from the subway station. I did not get anything. I found out about this by seeing the signs on the street that said, there's a new proposal here, and we're going to have this development. So I called Councillor Cole's office, and they told me. So then I got in touch with Growing Glencairn, and I was able to attend some of the meetings. Now, the housing that's going up, I've gone there and asked them, like I've gone through their plans. The one that's already built, Dillon, 10 stories, I went there, it's up. It has all these rental properties. They're all 400-something square foot, one bedrooms. They start at $2,100 rent. I went across to Wild, another Chestnut Hill development, right across the street that's going to be 30 odd, whatever it is. I got all their plans. Most of them are one bedrooms. The ones that aren't one bedrooms, that are two bedrooms, the second bedroom is one that's interior somewhere but has some glass wall so you can see through the living room and out. I don't know what families are going to move into those. The prices are ridiculous. The highest square footage is still under 1,000 for the 3 bedrooms. The city wants that area. I've lived there for 65 years. I fought the Spadina Expressway. Our section got it because we were working class then. So we still got that stupid ditch that shortens people's time for traveling by a few minutes. So it divided our community. And over the years, it divided our community by putting that crazy ditch in, only putting a few access roads across. The people on the other side got divided. The other side, because Forest Hills kind of have to expand somewhere, my part, the affluent part, that's where I live now in the affluent part, whereas we were a working class family. The affluent part, the woman who called in lives on the affluent part. And we're affluent people saying, what are you doing? It's not providing affordable housing. That's the city's policy. You're allowing a developer to sit there and say, look at the picture there. That's from a few years ago on your screen. That's the Wild, Chestnut Hill. The red ones are all the ones that are approved. The other ones are all those other up to 18 that are going through the Ontario Land Tribunal, a controversial organization. We've been reading about it all. Mr. Ford's best friend, one of his best friends ahead of it, all the controversies with that. Everything's just going through. We don't need condos. We don't need 18 condos in this little stretch. And if you look, none of them, not one, is on the east side of the street, on the east side of the street where I live. They're all on the working class, the side that's remained working class. I don't know what people are thinking. How can you you already see the problem with the condos downtown. Condos going up, half of them are, Airbnbs and they're empty. The prices are too high. So you're planning to put 18 condos in this little stretch of like 3 blocks on this little dinky arterial road that everyone knows is right now, it's just an on and off ramp for the Allen Road. That's all it is. People who don't want to wait there come and turn up. Doesn't matter what time of the day. And if it's rush hour, it could be right from Lawrence all the way to Eglinton lined up, waiting to turn to get onto the expressway. It's so ridiculous. I don't even know if we're doing now a study, Growing Glencairn. After that, the developers felt totally confident putting it, that's their literature for selling their condos. It's been out for a few years. So they already planned this. They had already bought all the little properties between Marley and the Allen Road, the few houses that were between that stretch. They had already bought them. They knew what they were doing way long ago. And the Dillon condo is already finished this year. So how long ago would it have been approved, a 10-story, when none of this was happening? We weren't designated as a special center. Marley was still a little neighborhood road, Glencairn too. They both have only 2 lanes. This is so silly.
You're just approaching 5 minutes, if you could wrap up.
When that ditch went through, it destroyed our neighborhood. No one's attempted to rejoin it. Years ago, an architect, before he died, gave a plan to the city for free. A development that would use the land on the side of the expressway to put medium size, using the city's land from the subway, from where the cars are to where the first roads are. And he gave it to the city for free. When he died, his daughter said, here it is. All these developers signed on and everything. It would have provided housing like St. Lawrence community, something positive, right geared to income, something that takes into account our population. But this, just letting anybody just build a condo wherever they want, our neighborhood isn't so worried about it now because everybody said the condo market's tanked. So a lot of these are probably not going to get started now unless something changes.
All right. Your points are well taken. Questions for the deputant? Councillor Carroll, then Councillor Cole.
Thank you.
Yeah. Did you want to go first?
Yeah. Just, are you aware that the province has turned down the city's request to include affordable housing in the new developments?
No.
Okay.
And no one in the community is aware of that either.
Have you ever spoken to your provincial member about all these changes they've made to the Ontario Land Tribunal overseeing planning now?
I spoke to Robin Martin. She's no longer a member of.
What did
the
she
parliament.
say when you objected to
She's
all?
not been helpful. Nothing.
No, and I understand your frustration.
No one from the province came to any of those meetings, the
Yeah.
Growing Ontario. I asked at every meeting, where is the province?
Good for
No
you.
one came. Someone should make them come and
Yeah.
explain.
Well, good for you for coming here today. I just also wanted to mention that the approvals that you've seen happen have all been basically approved by the Ontario government's Ontario Land Tribunal. So have you ever, you mentioned them at the beginning, have you ever tried to contact the Ontario Land Tribunal to express your concerns about their decisions?
No, because I had only read about them later. I
Yeah.
thought, because initially I thought, that the other one that was around, that other board, the
Ontario
yeah,
Municipal
the
Board.
OMB, I thought when it got dissolved, it was gone. So I only found out after that there was that.
No,
Then I
it's-
read the controversies between the person who had to resign and why and
yeah.
blah, blah, blah. So I didn't do it.
Okay, anyways, Mayor, thank you very much for your interest, and we'll follow up, and I
And
hope
thank you for pointing out that we don't have a community center, we don't have all those things. The one tennis court that was there became a private one, where all the kids used to go to play at the tennis courts anytime we wanted. It now belongs to a club. There's like a 2 hours on Friday night or something that the community go. Otherwise, you have to pay membership.
Yeah,
to
and
go to
that's
the
why
tennis
we're
courts.
doing this study, trying to point these things out to the province, that we don't have these things, so how could you be approving all these developments? Okay, thank you very much, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Cole. Councillor Carroll?
Well, they're really just similar questions, Mr. Chair, to the questions that the local councillor asked, but I think it's really important for people to really understand the nuance of this. I don't know if you're aware, much of your deputation seemed to be very angry at the planners, but the reason we were asking the questions you were asking was to underscore the fact that while they're making recommendations about density, they don't really have a choice but to make those recommendations, because we've essentially been ordered by provincial policy to, as Mr. Sitt points out, there need to be 200 jobs per hectare. There need to be this number of residents per hectare. We're doing a study, and we're trying to do a rational job of achieving the density they're requiring us to achieve, but they are requiring us to. So if planners had their druthers, the earlier plan that you recommended is certainly something in the realm of the deal. That's what they'd be recommending. But provincial policy requires them to look at a locally rationalized version of the intense density they want. Is that clear based on hearing our answers today?
It's clear. I don't think my comments were a complaint against the planners. My comments were that developers knew way long time ago and had already bought up properties and were already planning to do these things anyways. So after the fact, asking them nicely to please include housing when they don't have to, because as you said, which I wasn't aware, they don't have to, then what's the point of going through the process? That Dillon is built on a corner right to the sidewalk. It has nothing on any of the 3 sidewalks. It is built right to the sidewalk. sidewalk. There's no green space that it provides. There's nothing.
Yeah.
It doesn't provide anything. It just clogs up a corner and makes the sidewalk, the space, the public space smaller instead of bigger. And the Wild said they were going to put a piazza like College Street. Well, I've used College Street. There's one 10-story condo on the whole stretch of it. It's all regular neighborhood stores and restaurants. That's why people go with wide
Right.
sidewalks. Well, Marley's not going to have wide sidewalks. It's going to have narrow sidewalks with buildings built right to the road. There's no piazzas. There's no active
Right.
life on the road. So what's the point? It's just kind of saying, you know, developers, just do whatever you want. You don't have to come to meetings. You don't have to explain
So the
yourself.
point of the study area, is it clear that we're trying to embed those principles in the study? We get that you want us to intensify. We'd like to build a neighborhood rather than just buildings. So the point of the plan, is it clear that that is exactly the type of principle we're trying to push so that that accompanies the province's ambition for building housing?
Well, it is. When you read it, it's very nice. But when you see the one that's there is not that. It does not, to me, have any kind of appearance of any positive building area. You cannot just build your whole building, take up all your lot, and only leave room on the sidewalk.
Well, that's the policy. We're going to press on with trying to achieve the other. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Carroll. Were there any other questions for the deputant? Okay, so we're finished with deputations and the staff presentation. Questions for staff? Unless you feel that part is done, because we sort of blended questions for the presenters and questions for staff, we can go right to speakers. Quick question.
I just wanted to ask a quick follow-up question, and that is, because I didn't focus as much on this part of the plan, because the plan includes there's the study area and then there's the mobility area around it. The other concern in this neighborhood that goes all the way back to when, back to when Councillor Moscow was saying, hey, what's happening on Stainer, and things were getting more and more dense. The through streets, people are now using, I experienced this the other day. I happened to come along Castlefield leaving the Nova exhibition, which I'll do a plug on microphone. If you haven't arranged to go, you should arrange to go, councillors, to see the Nova exhibition. The trip along Castlefield was congested. I thought, I'm just going to go over and have a look at Marley. Myself, I had to deke down and go along Hopewell because this study was in my mind. But I was realizing all of them, Castlefield, Rydell, Viewmount, Hopewell, those are all streets that as that area intensifies, people are using them as backups to Lawrence Avenue. Are we looking at the congestion resulting there? We can reduce the parking, but we're still going to find in an intensified area, those become very popular routes. Are there traffic measures for those streets going east to west, or west to east, I should say?
Through the chair, I was just looking over to see if our transportation staff would come join us.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I triggered another staff member coming to the table.
But I would say, and if you do look at attachment number 1, that's in the report, in terms of the mobility moves, of course, there are going to be, as part of the next phase of the study, looking at the east-west connections and what we can do to kind of improve the area. But
and Mr. Chair, through you and Councillor, yes, this is part of the review, so we have established some existing condition, understanding where the pressure points are, how the network is performing, not just from cars, from like transit, from active transportation. So now we have an established existing condition. Now we could go to next phase and understand how we improve things, work on public realm improvements, how to balance the network itself to make sure the movements of all people are considered.
Okay, thank you. That was my only question. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Carroll. Let's go to speakers. Councillor Cole.
Yes, I want to thank all of our staff, directors, the Shelley and David and Valeria and everybody that is undertaking this study. And I think this is really a prototype for maybe other reviews we may have to do in different parts of the city because of the actual number of applications that are coming into our communities, and our existing secondary plans or study areas really are either become redundant or we need to shape our planning approach to providing infrastructure to meet the densities. Oh, is it my, yeah. So I have a motion on this item. I forgot. So anyways, I think you're going to see this type of need being done across the city, and that's why this Glencairn Marley study is important. Anyways, this is something I'm trying to do, again, wish me luck, that City Council requests that the Minister of Municipal Affairs, I don't even know who the new minister is, the last one never responded to anything, and Housing, he's the Minister of Education now, and Housing, the Attorney General of Ontario, who's in charge of the Ontario Land Tribunal, by the way, it comes under the various tribunals, to direct the appropriate provincial authorities, such as the Ontario Land Tribunal, to put a pause on reviewing any development applications within the Marley-Glencairn area until the completion of the growing Glencairn study. And in a way, it's opportune because the condo market has collapsed. So it's not as if they're going to be selling any of these projects because nobody's buying. They can't afford them. There's no financing. So it might be a good time for a pause. But yet they are all coming, asking for approvals. Because as you know, when they upzone the property, they monetize the property. So then they flip it to someone else or whatever they do. So they're still coming. They're not stopping with the applications, even though they can't sell anything. But it's an interesting period we're in. So at least with this study, we're trying to tell the province and the community that here is what we need to support the density. We need a senior center. We need a library, God forbid. We need sidewalks you can walk on. We need amenity space. And so we have to do that, because if we don't do that, then we have no evidence to present at the tribunal. So that's why we have to codify this and do this study so we have some solid data here when we make our arguments and our staff goes to the tribunal. That at least the tribunal will listen. And we're also telling the province, one size doesn't fit all. This is not Young and Bloor. So just because we have the Glencairn subway station that's underutilized, it doesn't mean you can put in 17 towers there. And that's why we have to say, yes, we need density, we need intensification, but God forbid we should have 10-story buildings, maybe 20, maybe 30, but we don't need 40, 50-story buildings in a mixed single-family area that doesn't have any infrastructure. There's no place, if you flush the toilets, we don't know where it's going to go. There's no sewer capacity. There's no place for your sewage to go with all these towers going in. There's not enough hydro infrastructure to turn on the lights. Never mind a recreation center, God forbid. And as you know, the predication here is because you've got subway stations, you solve the traffic problems. Well, that's a bunch of baloney. Wherever we put in these towers, I don't care if we restrict parking, whatever it is, there's more traffic. It doesn't reduce traffic because there's more people. And guess what? People take Uber. Guess what? People order skip the dishes nonstop. People are doing their shopping online. Guess what happened? It doesn't get delivered by, what do you call those things? Not the Uber Eats, I'm talking about those things they're bombing Ukraine with. Oh, drones. Drones. It doesn't come by drones. It comes by trucks and cars. They're constantly, they're coming into these neighborhoods nonstop with all these trucks and cars, delivering everything conceivable. So people say,
All right, okay.
Anyways,
If you could wrap up, Councillor
I
Cole.
wrap up with my drone delivery thing. Okay, so you get the idea. Thank you very much.
We all pray for Don't Shop Day. No, I had two here. I think Councillor Chernos Lynn and then Councillor Carroll.
Thank you, through the chair. I really appreciate this motion from Councillor Cole. And I do think the study overall is a really is a good thing. But I will just say, transit does not equal a complete community. And the challenges that we are facing in terms of the provincial mandate to build excessively around higher order transit, while I understand we want people using transit, we have to be building complete communities so that they aren't even, occasionally driving, because some of them are going to be occasionally driving. They are going to be ordering Uber Eats. They are going to be ordering from Amazon. They are going to be ordering deliveries of all types, and those are not coming on transit. Those are coming, they may come on bikes, but often they are coming in trucks. And this is the reality that we're facing. I have the same thing happening throughout my ward. I have Young and Eglinton now growing at Bayview and Eglinton. And we're going to see this happening over and over and over again. And it feels to me as though we have everything is done in silos, where you have a building happening upon a building, happening upon a building, happening upon a building. And without the former Section 37 funds and without the ability to really set aside land to say, this is where we're going to put a community center, this is where we're going to put a library, this is where we're going to put some of those aspects that make a complete community, it's like the development is happening to us so quickly that we can't create complete communities. And the province has removed so many of those opportunities we had before to have community consultation and to have input in changing these things, that we have to find alternative ways to do it. So I will be very curious to see how this moves forward and whether we get an answer. I sure hope we do. But I am absolutely in support of this, and I think we need to find more creative solutions to try to manage this and ensure that the growth that we have, while we know we need more housing, that it's done in a way that we're still creating complete communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chernos Lynn. Councillor Carroll?
Thank you. I too support the local councillor, but in terms of the what we heard part of it to what you're hearing from council today, I would just like to ask that staff, and I'm not putting it in a motion, I know it can be just an undertaking, but to add to the motion that the local councillor is moving, we need the province to hear the things that we know are not their rules right now. We heard that today from the solicitor and staff. But we need to, I think we need to put in these plans as we do each of the major transit station study areas, what should be. And so don't confine yourself to what we know is legally possible today. I think we put in what should be wherever we can into the text, in the body of the report. And so saying that if we're going to do these intensification studies, we need you to help us by backing us up when we say a particular, especially the large site developments, need to wait until we've completed a study. If you want to put a deadline on the study, and we'll resource the staff team so they can do it by a certain deadline. So in some way, the province needs to help us with that. But I think we also need to put in there things that currently aren't in the Planning Act. If we're going to do this, and we're going to reduce the parking in all of these buildings, heaven knows, under the new parking bylaw, we need one day for someone to put groceries into the Planning Act. You ought to be able to get off at Glencairn, and in the base of one of these buildings, you will find not teeny tiny little stores that no one can lease, but one of them should have a 20,000 square foot grocery store where you can do some pickup retail on your way to your unit. We need all of those types of amenities that make a neighborhood beyond the transit, but make it in such a way that you're walking to it all the way back to your unit from the subway station. That is the way people are developing transit in the rest of the world. Some of it 100 years ago, some of it even now. 2 hours outside of Tokyo, very suburban transit stations are all being designed with all of the amenities that you can get to on foot. Including the daycare, even seniors care, groceries, dry cleaner, all that stuff. We need the ability to be able to do that so that we can then, negotiate with the developer that should be in the base of your building, and we don't apologize for it because it also makes your building more marketable. We need to mention those things in it. And I really do think we need to add to the hard infrastructure list the actual community safety piece, the policing piece. Because if we go back just 10 years, we actually agreed to a report that we got from police 10 years ago saying that we were going to sister stations and reduce some of them. But in the face of the new growth targets and the growth of all these communities, we actually can't sister and get rid of a single one. We now, in fact, need to enlarge them all. We need to enlarge 32. We need to enlarge 33. We need to enlarge 13. We got a couple in Scarborough that we need to enlarge. One of them, on our own dime, we're already doing in Division 43 to accommodate the intensification that's coming along the Scarborough end of the crosstown. That needs to become a part of infrastructure because we need all of the amenities. We also need the safety. And we're not going to be able to put it in situ where it needs to be. And so even though those things aren't hard guidelines in the Planning Act right now, I think we need to speak to them in each of these studies. Someone will pick them up and form a private member's bill out of them, and we may get somewhere. So I just hope that when we get the final report on this in 2026, that our planners are made to feel liberated to mention them so that we can build on them in the policy context wherever we can. Those are my comments. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Councillor Carroll. I just wanted to speak for 1 minute. I was trying to look at community assets and where they're located in this catchment area. And what I find interesting is that if you look outside the study area, just outside the study area, you find a number of library branches. You do find community centers, and you find a good cluster of public, Catholic, and private schools, and of course some micro parks. So the study area is a study area. Obviously, that was selected for a number of reasons. And while it does look like it's missing a lot of community assets, I think it's the Mary Shook branch is just outside. The Barbara Frum branch is just outside, across the street. The Lawrence Heights Community Center is just outside the catchment area on the north. And then to the south and within, you've got, I'm counting at least 10 public, Catholic, and of course there's more even private schools. So the idea that there's no community assets or this is a wasteland is really not true. I'm not suggesting we change the goalposts, but within walking distance or even a 5-minute drive, there are some pretty substantial community assets to help make this a healthy community. Thank you very much. Okay, so, oh, sorry, Councillor Cheng, last speaker.
So I heard the deputations, and I feel that residents across Toronto are in a similar situation. Communities are being blown up with extravagant density without a plan or the finances for the critical infrastructure to make a complete community. And the range of housing, we talk about the importance of having different kinds of housing because not everyone can afford market condos. We need transitional housing, supportive housing, affordable housing, deeply affordable housing, rent geared to income housing. These are all missing when we just add lots of towers. So, and I'm not even sure a secondary plan can address the lack of the range of housing that we need to build a sustainable future for the city of Toronto. And looking at how our secondary plan process works, I can already foresee one challenge is as you build density, one important thing that people want but no one wants to pay for or maintain is direct subway access. You have to build tunnels, you have to dig those tunnels, and we used to secure those through Section 37. In fact, there is one that will begin being that will be dug out in the coming year at Yonge and Shepherd, but that was secured through Section 37. How are we going to finance safe accessibility when you have thousands of residents who have to cross busy intersections to get to the subway station? We prefer if there's direct access, and I think residents prefer that when it's available. But currently, there's no funding model to build those tunnels that previously we relied on developers to do. So how do we grow an accessible, affordable city that works for everyone? This process illustrates that there are gaps that our secondary plan does not fully address. The other piece that our secondary plan process does not address is economic development. So we put a whole bunch of people to live in a community, we want businesses there, but there actually isn't a process where we then have an economic development plan for that neighborhood. And so I hope that we consider some of these missing pieces here in the Growing Glen Karen report, as well as in the North York at the Center secondary plan, which we are also currently reviewing. We have to be more holistic and find tools or create tools that allow us to address the ability to create neighborhoods where people can work, live, and play, as well as how we can make accessible transit, who's going to dig those underground tunnels to build that accessibility. These are problems that I foresee, and I hope that we can find ways to solve this together. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cheng. So, Councillor Cole, you have a motion? Okay.
So we request the Attorney General and the Minister of Housing to give us a bit of a pause here. Yes.
All right. Well, no, I appreciate your ambition and your aspirations on this item. I'm not sure whether they will listen, but we'll certainly vote on it here. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item is amended. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item 23.8, Councillor Chernos-Lynn, you held the item down?
I did, thank you. I just, I wanted to just comment on this item. So this is a recommendation to authorize the city's solicitor and staff to take, city staff to take, to attend the OLT, the Ontario Land Tribunal, in opposition to the current applications regarding the official plan amendment appeal for the lands municipally known as 586 Eglinton Avenue East. And I just wanted to comment on, for my colleagues, just to have, and also for anyone listening in the public, it resonates with the discussion we were just having regarding what's happening on Marley Avenue. You know, as we're seeing this exponential growth directed by the province around higher order transit, we're losing a lot of existing buildings. And this one in particular, most people in this community know 586 Eglinton Avenue as the medical building. This is the building that it's I think an 8-story building that is full of dentists, ophthalmologists, primary care physicians, pediatricians, mental health professionals, the list goes on. It had a radiology clinic in it, life labs in it, so many other things. And while some people have relocated in anticipation of, knowing that this had been purchased by a developer, many of them have either closed shop or relocated way outside the area. Family physicians have moved all over the city where they could find rent that was appropriate or where they could find groups. Others have retired because it's so difficult to do that. And this is a massive net loss for the community in terms of having a complete community. I know we need housing, but I am really concerned about the loss of what we consider office space. It's not always like commercial office space. Sometimes it's vital services that communities need in order to be healthy and sustainable and complete communities. And so I just wanted to draw attention to the fact that this is a very unique building that will be a massive loss if it is allowed to change in this regard. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chernosin. Very good points. We see it in York Centre as well, where we lose vital community retail and medical services, and that's replaced by residential. Okay. Any other speakers on the item? No, we're good. Councillor Chernosin, are you moving the staff recommendations?
I am, thank you.
Okay, all those in favor?
Carry.
Opposed? That is carried. We have speakers on item 10, which is 123 and 123A Parkway, Forest Drive. I have a Haley McWilliam from Boostfields, who I assume is the applicant. Okay, thank you for joining us. You have 5 minutes.
Good afternoon. My name is Haley McWilliam. I'm an associate at Boustfields, and I am the agent representing the owner. Representatives of the owner and the transportation consultant are here as well. I'll keep my remarks brief, but we did want to express that we're very pleased to have worked collaboratively with staff over the last several years to bring this proposal forward. The staff recommendation that you see before you is the product of meaningful conversations and changes in response to the feedback that we received through the development review process. We believe that the resulting development, which is a 33-story purpose-built rental building that will contain 6 affordable housing units, strikes an important balance supporting both growth and community needs. We have reviewed the letters and emails submitted by nearby residents, and we recognize that there are concerns related to parking, congestion, construction impacts, and the fit of the building within the neighborhood. However, we have worked closely with staff to address these matters, and staff have determined that the proposal is acceptable and supportable. We are, however, committed to continuing to review these concerns and potential mitigation measures as the application proceeds through the site plan approval process. In closing, I want to emphasize that this application is the culmination of years of work with city staff, and we're very appreciative of the time and effort that went into it. I would especially like to thank Leila Marari for her support throughout the process. We are pleased to support the staff recommendation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for your comments. Any questions for the deputant? Councillor Carroll?
Yeah, so one of the things that it's less highlighted by residents because you don't realize you have this problem until you move into the building, but that is the issue of visitor parking. I think it's because we're along the subway corridors, but Councillor Chang and I are constantly finding that in our newer buildings, and this is a newer building being built on the site of newer buildings, in our newer buildings, what happens is occupation happens, and then condo boards come back to us within a year or two to say, we don't have enough visitor parking. It's not a resident parking situation. It's bananas around here on Saturday problem. And so we're trying to say we get transit-oriented neighborhoods, but people who don't own cars seem to attract people who do own cars on the weekends. So is there room to consider looking at, even if I have to take real estate from bike lockers, is there room to look at a couple of extra visitor spots so that we have, pick up and drop off spots, but also, embedded visitor spots underground? Yeah.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, we are providing visitor parking, but we are happy to consider the request to add a couple additional spaces.
Okay. And having that commitment, that could be achieved during site plan, even if it means a couple of additional spaces, not just changing the ratio of the existing spaces?
So we would have to review that change now because our draft bylaw does secure a ratio.
That's true.
Yes, so we're open to looking at that, but we might need to make a tweak to our bylaw to accommodate that.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Thanks very much. Those are my questions. Thanks, Mr.
Thank you, Councillor Carroll. Any other questions for the deputant? No? Haley, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sonia Mesa? Sonia Mesa? No? Okay. Questions for staff? Speakers? Councillor Carroll?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I haven't written this motion out. Apologies to clerk, but I'm going to ask that we forward the application to council without recommendations, because I think we can work out this last little bit. Councillor Chang and I are, while we're going along with the new parking bylaw in the suburbs, making us very nervous, we're really trying to achieve a minimum 20 visitor spots in buildings like this. And this building is something that we really should look at in the context of every other item talked about this morning. And while we talked about over in Glencairn, what's wrong with the 10-story building? What's wrong with the 4-plexes and the 6-plexes? This is an application for a 33-story building that is going onto the site of townhouses that were built as part of the Parkway Forest intensification projects. And these buildings were built like in 2012. And we're going to demolish them. They have tenants in them, and we've made a good housing plan. The applicants have been very cooperative about tenant relocation. They're following our policy. But they're doing so to demolish what is a very young, fancy-looking row of townhouses. We're going to save some, demolish the others, and it's gobsmacking to the people who live in Parkway Forest because they look at them as the new part of the neighborhood. They've seen a lot of demolition of the old part of the neighborhood. Now we're demolishing new parts to intensify. But that is the essence of the provincial policy and what is a need for all of us for housing in the city. And so we're intensifying an intensified neighborhood in building this building. So the reason I'm moving without recommendations is I really think we have to get the visitor parking right, because this is one of the very neighborhoods in which we're learning that we may be shortchanging the visitor parking. I've made this speech before. I call it boyfriend parking. There's the shopping, there's the overflow of I can't find a spot, so I'll park over there. There's DoorDash parking, there's all of the rest. And then in the middle of it, there's someone who's arrived and wants to stay overnight, and there's just no place to put them. That's solvable downtown in intensified neighborhoods because they have pay and display everywhere on the street. They have public lots. They have a lot of options. In a suburban context, we have none of those around the building options because there's no parking beyond 3 hours anywhere in North York. And while we are going to re-examine the parking bylaw, when I listen to conversations in the hallway down at City Hall, I'm not really optimistic about how much change we're going to make when that parking bylaw report comes forward. People are kind of girding their loins for that battle. So I really want to make sure that while we do this intensifying of an intensified neighborhood, that we get it right, and that there's lots of room for the activity that happens around the building, even though it's I'm confident that it is going to be a transit-oriented building, because that we've also seen. If you've got an underused subway station, if you do get it right, and in Parkway Forest, I truly believe we now have great retail. People are not having trouble leasing the retail properties. We went back in a second phase and demanded a large grocery store, which is jam-packed all the time, most of the commerce being done on foot. It's really hopping and really working, but that visitor parking piece, particularly Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays, we got to get that right, or that's the one livability thing left that is sticking out for the condo owners and the resident groups. So with that indulgence, I promise that probably without even having to make a speech, we should be able to pass this thing on consent first thing in the morning at council session. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Carroll. Yes, I do not think it will have much problems. Any other speakers on the item? No. Okay, Councillor Carroll, you're moving staff recommendations? Oh, I'm sorry, without recommendations. Exactly. Okay, got it. Okay, all those in favor? The motion's on the screen. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We done 11? We're on item 15, 2555 Yonge Street, refusal of a sidewalk cafe permit application. Alex Casal? Okay. Thank you for joining us. Great, thank you for joining us. You have 5 minutes.
Good afternoon, Council. Thank you for your time today. My name is Alex. I'm the president of Impact Kitchen, and I'm here to discuss and hopefully reverse a patio permit refusal for our restaurant location at 2555 Yonge Street. Now, I did send along a PDF in advance of the meeting with some photos and renderings. We don't have that up on the screen, but be sure to reference those and ask any questions there at the end if you'd like. So just a quick summary. We're seeking reversal of a permit refusal decision. Our proposal was fully compliant and approved by transportation. And we are aware of some concerns raised from the community, and we do have solutions for those, which I'll speak about shortly. Just a little bit of background on who we are. We are a Toronto-based restaurant group. We are nutrition-focused, all-day restaurant cafe. We are open for breakfast, brunch, lunch, and dinner. We're open 7 days a week, 364 days a year. We are 100% gluten-free. We're 100% refined sugar-free. and we're 100% seed oil free. We also cater to several different dietary preferences. Those who prefer vegan options, vegetarian options, dairy-free options, paleo options, keto-friendly options, and we also have high-quality protein as well. Free-range chicken, grass-fed steak, regeneratively farm-raised beef as well. We do have 7 locations in Toronto. Impact Kitchen, Midtown at 2555 Yonge Street, which is regarding the patio we're talking about today. That was our most recent location. Again, opened at 255 Yonge, about 10 blocks north of Yonge and Eglinton. That one did open in October of 2024. Just skipping ahead here. So as I mentioned, we are here to hopefully reverse the decision on our patio permit, which was refused after transportation had approved it. The primary concern that has come our way was regarding the tight walk space between the start of our patio and the end of the sidewalk, specifically during the snowy, wintry seasons. As we all know, that can be challenging here in Toronto. But we're going to be addressing this directly. We are going to be completely closing the patio between November and April. We will be removing all of the patio and moving it to an off-site storage unit. That way, there is no real concern here from a safety perspective. It will be completely clear, as it is right now at 255 Yonge Street. So again, the primary concern was regarding snow removal and just accessibility with the tight space, but we will be removing the patio completely from early November to early April, obviously weather dependent. As I mentioned, it was fully approved by transportation there a couple of months ago. Just quickly on our operating hours, we're looking at 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. We do not offer alcohol at Impact Kitchen, so we can expect a family-friendly, not too noisy of an environment, which I think is fits into that Midtown neighborhood nicely. We're receiving consistent and ongoing support from our community. Our guests are telling us every single day at the restaurant that they're excited for the patio. So we're really keen on offering that for that community. Our own staff, our own team members are extremely enthusiastic. I keep getting nudged on a daily and weekly basis on an update on the patio situation. And I think the Midtown community itself, there aren't too many patios available for that community. And, we offer a health-focused, nutrition-focused offering. And I think that's just a great addition to that community to bring people together over healthy and great tasting food and drink. So that's it for me today. Just hoping we can have a reversal on that patio permit refusal. Again, approved by transportation. We've received some complaints from the community, but I think we've addressed them pretty directly. We will be completely removing the patio for the winter seasons between November and April.
Great, thank you so much. Are there any, before we move to question of the deputants, the clerk has alerted me that we need to move a motion to extend the meeting. All those in favor until we finish the agenda? Okay, great. Okay, any questions of the deputant? Councillor Chernos-Lynn?
Hi, Alex. Thanks for coming today. So you will be moving, I did a site visit with you yesterday, and I just want to confirm the outside of your patio that sort of forms the space of the patio is large planters. So those will be moved flush against the wall of the cafe when when winter comes, right?
Yeah, confirm as it is laid out right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So that issue goes away. My second question for you is, how wedded are you to the design that you've presented us with? Because I do have some concerns about the uneven pavement and just having people go really close to the street once the poles are out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're open for finding that middle ground, absolutely. You know, with you yesterday there, we realized that there's some unevenness to that ground. We don't necessarily need to extend our patio all the way out as per our drawings. We also don't necessarily need to jut out, again, as per our drawings, which would bring the planters back a little bit, specifically for the area I believe you're referring to, which is which is further east on Sherwood.
Correct, right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
to answer your question, I mean, we just want what's best for the community, and we want our patio open, but we also want it to be a safe space for those that are walking by.
Okay, thank you. And so just, you're willing to work with, let's say, my office or with staff on how we might best get this to a sweet spot?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, and you can go next.
Mr. Chair, just one additional question. We do run into this problem once in a while. The local councilor is just showing me the spot. It would be a great place to have a patio. It's such a busy pedestrian street. You know it would do well, but we sometimes run into, we allow these and then put them in before dealing with the sidewalk. We don't have the budget or it's not in our schedule, but it looks like it needs to be done there. Can we make sure that we're constructing this patio in such a way that if the city wants to come through and repair the sidewalk so that you really do have a nice level patio, but we need to do it on our own schedule, can you construct in such a way that you're amenable to us eventually replacing the sidewalk?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we have an offsite storage unit as well, so we'd be flexible to move things around if we needed to dedicate more space to certain projects. We can move things off of the property.
So even after we adopt this, it remains entirely removable?
Entirely removable, yeah. The patio furniture is pretty light itself. And again, we do move it, storage unit, back to property for the off and on seasons.
Okay, even after this. Okay, that's great. Thank you. Be there for
Thank you,
breakfast.
Councillor Carroll. Any other questions for the deputant? No? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Questions for staff? Councillor Chernos-Lynn?
Okay, so to staff, the question I have is a little bit you heard a little bit about it today. I did a site visit yesterday and happened to find Alex on site, which was really great. But we came out and looked at it, and there are a number of different areas of different materials in the sidewalk along the south side of Sherwood. There's cobblestone, there's typical sidewalk, then there's like asphalt paving where there used to be what appears to be a curb cut. There maybe at one time was a driveway there. There's no longer a driveway there, but it's flush against the road almost. And it's also caving in some of the cobblestones around where the light posts are and things like that. So my question to staff is, the sidewalk needs significant repair and really requires attention. What would be the timeline to have this repaired?
Hi, I'll just answer, Councillor Chernos-Lynn, through the chair. I was in contact with your staff yesterday regarding the repairs for the sidewalk, and it turns out that the damages happened due to some work done by Toronto Hydro, and so a group is looking into it, and we'll definitely continue to work with your office and keep it updated regarding the timelines for repairing it. I don't have that to share now, but we'll definitely keep in touch with your office.
Okay, that's maybe even better because maybe the funding comes out of Toronto Hydro's budget. But regardless, I would just like to make sure that as we move forward with this, that we do our best not to impede the patio, like wanting to fix this, wanting to make it as safe as possible. And this is really, I mean, I do think it needs to be a priority and needs to be expressed as a priority to Toronto Hydro from the city, but also wanting to make sure that the business can have, you know, a good summer season. This is the best time of year. And I actually think this is a really great location for a patio. So I think this is something the community really will enjoy, but we just want to make sure that it's done in a way working with the business owner who's been so amenable to making sure that it's viable, and also making sure that as we do these repairs, we work with them in a positive way.
Most definitely. Thanks.
Thank you, and thank you so much for attending today, and to the deputant as well for attending.
Thank you, Councillor Chernos-Lynn. Any other questions for staff? Although I must admit, municipal licensing is a no-show today, so we are a little constrained. Unless you want to just go to speakers. Councillor Chernos-Lynn, speakers?
I think I'm fine to proceed with the vote. Oh,
We have to move
and
something. There's two options, right? You're either going to approve the application or deny it.
I would like to approve the application.
Okay, it's option number 2 in the report and option number 1 on the screen.
So can we approve option number 2?
Option number 2 is before us. It is on the screen to approve the application. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. To 15. Okay, we're on item number 26. We've held it down for deputations. It's based on a letter from Councillor Chernos-Lynn. I'm looking for Jill Bender. Okay. Miss Bender? Miss Bender? Please unmute.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you very much. You have 5 minutes.
Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon, council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today about the severe and ongoing traffic crisis facing residents of Donley Drive. I'll keep my remarks brief, as the document you have before you outlines the details and evidence that have brought us to the motion before council today. My focus is on the human side of this issue, the real and growing impact on our health, safety, and daily lives. In short, we are a neighborhood in crisis. What was once a quiet residential street has, over the past 2 years, become the de facto emergency detour route, or EDR, for Eglinton Avenue, particularly eastbound between Bayview and Leslie. Every weekday, we now endure an average of 4 hours of relentless congestion on Donley Drive. And this isn't tied to accidents or construction. This is just the new normal. During these hours, we have witnessed dangerous, erratic driving behaviors. Road rage incidents are frequent. Drivers heading eastbound are using westbound lanes. Some even mount the sidewalks to make illegal turns on a school route. Heavy trucks ignore the clearly posted no truck signage. And while all of this is occurring, the noise and air pollution become overwhelming. You can hear it, you can taste it. There are entire portions of the day when residents can't even get out of their own driveways. Making matters worse, traffic navigation apps like Waze and Google Maps are funneling vehicles onto Donley with wildly inaccurate time estimates, intensifying the gridlock and chaos. Let me be clear. This is not a matter of inconvenience. This is a health and safety issue and an urgent one. The mental toll on our community is just as damaging. We are seeing increased levels of anxiety, frustration, and even danger. Residents feel helpless and unheard. And through it all, we have remained patient, waiting for the long-delayed Eglinton Crosstown LRT to open, hoping that relief would finally come. In the meantime, we have worked collaboratively and respectfully with Councillor Chernos-Lynn and her office. We're grateful for their partnership and for their leadership in bringing this motion forward. The motion before you today is a crucial first step, a step towards restoring the peace, safety, and livability that every resident on Donnelly Drive deserves. We urge you to support it, and more importantly, to ensure that the proposed turn restrictions are implemented as quickly as possible. Our neighborhood has waited long enough. Thank you for your time and for standing with us in putting an end to this neighborhood crisis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, Ms. Bender. Are there any questions for the deputant? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Bender. Caitlin Dean?
Thank you.
Thank you. Caitlin?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Hello,
can.
you hear
Thank
me?
you. Thank you for joining us. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, City Council members. My name is Caitlin. I am a North Leaside resident as well. I really thank Jill before me for all that information. She was very well spoken. So I too am quite concerned about the traffic in our area. I do have concerns about what is being proposed only based on North Leaside residents, people who live here and use that turn multiple times a day, like myself, especially during those hours between 4 to 6. You know, going to school pickups, drop offs, going to activities during that time. We literally cannot even get out of our area. So my concern is if this is this proposal, if it does happen, where are people supposed to turn to leave their area when we can't even get out right now? I would like some attention to be drawn to the lights at Leslie and Eglinton. I have spoken numerous times with our city councilor's office, which have been great and responsive around this. The lights at Leslie and Eglinton are extremely inconsistent and don't let traffic flow at all. I can give you an example from last week. I was traveling from North Leaside to Lawrence and Don Mills, and it took approximately over 45 minutes. And I was taking Wicksteed, so I was not on Eglinton, I wasn't on Don Lee, I wasn't even coming from my area. But the problem is the lights at Leslie and Eglinton. They do not allow people to travel through. We waited there for over 30 minutes. What should be, you know, a routine 10-minute drive has turned into an over 45-minute drive. And this week alone, I was on Eglinton going towards Leslie. It took almost 5 lights for us to turn onto Leslie. And it's almost like a 20-second cycle from what I saw yesterday. So these are my concerns. I know that we've brought up having North Leaside stickers. I know that sounds silly, but honestly, I live here. I want to be able to leave my area. I want to be able to come into my area. The majority of people on Don Lee don't live here. They are using it as a way through when it's really not. So that's I'm just hoping you can take all this into consideration, that this proposed is, yes, maybe a Band-Aid solution, but I think that the traffic lights really need to be looked into. And I was hoping for some answers around that today. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for your comments. Any questions for the deputant? Councillor Chernos-Lynn?
So, thank you for your comments. I just wanted to ask you if you had received our updates on on the efforts we've made to change those traffic signals on a couple of occasions.
Through the Leaside Facebook page, was I getting updates?
No, through our office. Have you written into our office to inquire
No.
about this? Okay.
I've only called in. I've called in 3 times and spoken with people at your office.
Okay. So perhaps, I think we have your email from today. We'll add you to those emails. I would encourage you to listen
Great.
to the discussion as it goes on today, because I will ask some questions to staff to elucidate some of the pieces around what you've asked about.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other questions for the deputy? Questions for staff? Councillor Chernow-Slyn?
Okay, so I have questions for staff, and then I want to make some remarks as well. So with respect to the questions of the last deputant around signal timing, I wonder if you could speak a little bit about the work that's been done on that, as well as the work to continue around that. And perhaps explain a little bit about the current traffic issues and volumes, especially regarding all those intersections. Thank you.
Good morning, Councillor, and thanks for the question. Sean Dillon here, Manager of Traffic Operations, and I apologize that I'm joining by WebEx, but I can't be in two places at once, and this was my month to be at EYCC, so thankfully it wrapped up earlier and I was able to join by WebEx. So yeah, to your questions, our group is not responsible for the signal timings, but I can speak generally about it. I know that we've been trying to work to make some adjustments to try and optimize the timings as well as we can. I know there are some additional hurdles with Leslie and Eglinton because the signal is still under the control of Metrolinx. So most of the other signals along the corridor have been turned over to the city, but that one still remains with Metrolinx. So staff are trying to work with Metrolinx to make some further adjustments, and we'll have to wait and see what happens there. And I'm certain they will provide you with updates.
Okay.
Sorry, was there another question that I missed?
Well, I'm wondering if somebody else from staff, we do have other staff in the room perhaps who might be able to speak to, because we actually have had Metrolinx change that signal timing. We have been working with Metrolinx. Is that not correct?
Yeah. Oh, there's been numerous adjustments to it, but I know there was another recent request, and so I believe they're working with them now. But no, unfortunately, there is nobody from our signal operations group available at Community Council today.
Okay. Would it be possible to expand a little bit, or someone else in the room, or perhaps you could expand a little bit on what other measures have already been implemented to reduce traffic congestion in this area? Like, is it possible to talk about the issue, some of the things that we have done? Because this was not the first thing we've gone to. Like, this was not our go-to of where we wanted to end up originally. We've tried a number of different things, and I wonder if somebody from staff could explain a little bit around that.
Yeah, there's certainly been a lot of work to try and keep construction activities away from the rush hour time periods. We've made multiple adjustments to the traffic signal timings at Braincliffe and Eglinton to try and find that right balance between moving the traffic eastbound, but also not having a significant impact on the westbound left turn in particular, trying to get into the community south. Yeah, we continue to have cameras in place to monitor the traffic, and we try and make even on the fly adjustments if we can to mitigate those concerns. But the reality is there is just too much traffic trying to get through that bottleneck, and there's just not enough capacity in the intersection to accommodate that. The fairly recent development on the south side took away a lane of traffic, and that has created a significant reduction in the capacity there.
I might just add a couple of items because I know Sean is with traffic operations and they're part of the traffic management section within transportation services. And I know that managers and representatives from the work zone coordination team, the traffic systems operations, have all met with your office to try to explore what could be done and have had site visits. There was exploring the use of traffic agents in the area, but that didn't seem to be a possible route to go down. But there are traffic lights that are being monitored, and oftentimes your office reaches out, lets us know, and technicians can go right in and see what's happening, and they can make adjustments if needed. The work zone coordination team, so those are folks that, you know, if there's construction going on in a neighborhood, they make sure that contractors are following the rules and so forth. And they go and can visit sites and talk to contractors if they are disrupting traffic flow in a way that wasn't agreed to. A big challenge, and I know Sean has mentioned this numerous times, is with respect to it's just really the volume of traffic along that stretch. And I know that one of the recommendations we had put forward was to explore with the TTC to see if they could change where their bus stop is so that the unloading of buses would not block the intersection. And, you know, transportation services is open to participating in meetings with you and your office and TTC to discuss if that's possible. We've also looked into sort of, you know, when the Eglinton LRT finally opens, right? The bus traffic will decrease, but it's just these next few weeks will continue to be a bit of a pain point, and, you know, hopefully the turn restrictions will have an impact. But I just pulled up the email that I sent after the meeting with your office, and so just went through that. I don't know, Sean, if you had anything you wanted to add to that, or...
No, I think that covers it well. Thank you.
All right. I mean, all we're doing is turn restrictions here. I think analysis paralysis. I think we can move on.
Well, I would just like to comment on it.
Oh, no, we can go to
That's possible.
speakers, but my
Okay.
gosh, any more questions?
I have one more question for staff, if that's okay. This is a massive issue in my community, so if my colleagues could just indulge me. We've had like literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of emails about this, so it is a significant issue. I just wonder, route apps, especially Google Maps, are a large reason for some of the issues we're finding on this street, and I wonder from staff, is there anything city staff can do to keep Google from sending people to Donley Drive? Like, what is because that's part of the challenge that we're having here, and that's part of why we're going to these turn restrictions, if I'm understanding correctly. Like, will staff be reaching out to Google and to Waze to let them know? What's the plan?
Yeah, we will. We can certainly reach out to Google and Waze to make them aware of this change. I can speak to previous locations, and they're certainly willing to post restricted turns, although they don't always reliably do it with time of day restrictions. And so that can be a challenge for them. And they are absolutely unwilling to discourage movement on public roadways that are legally traversed. So there's zero willingness to consider, not allowing that as an alternate route if it's a public road and it's legally accessible.
All right. Please.
Councillor Pasternak, I know you're hungry for lunch, but I do just want to say a few words about this.
We can't go to speakers. Is everyone satisfied for questions of staff?
I want to go to speakers. I'm ready to.
No, but weren't you just asking questions of staff?
Yeah, but I'm done asking questions.
No, but we have to make sure no one else has questions
sorry.
of staff.
Okay. I thought you were scolding me.
Oh, no, I'm not scolding. No, I do apologize. No,
Just have a
no,
quick question, couple
is there,
quick
is there
questions.
anyone else who has questions of staff? No, okay.
Yeah, I do.
Speakers.
Yeah.
Oh, Councillor
Councillor
Burnside has
Pasternak,
questions
I
of
do.
staff. Yes, Councillor Burnside.
Yeah. So yeah, through you to Sean Dillon. So ultimately, the turn at Leslie is a huge problem, and everything gets backed up. Would you agree that one of the problems is that the left turn lanes are what they are, and they can't be expanded, so they actually impede the straight through traffic when they get backed up? Correct?
Yes, through the chair, that's correct, Councillor Burnside. So
Okay.
yeah, we're doing
So
what we can
there's
to
a
try
limit
and
to what.
find that balance, but
Yeah, I mean, it was a design issue when they didn't expand that bridge. But anyway, that's not your fault. With the left turn when the LRT is fully functional or functional, how does that traffic signal work? Do they get does the LRT get priority, or do they just get one of the signals when that doesn't impede the vehicular traffic?
my understanding is that they will get signal priority there to try and minimize delays to that to the LRT vehicle. And obviously they'll
So it's going to make the situation even worse. Okay, that's fine.
Well, we'll lose buses, but yes, we will be prioritizing the movement of the LRT.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you, Councillor Burnside. Any more questions on the item? Speakers. Councillor Chernoslin.
Thank you. I want to just say that I actually have been, we've had really quite good experience working with Metrolinx and traffic, like our divisions of traffic from the city together with Metrolinx on changing the timing at Eglinton and Leslie. So that's just a first point I want to make. The majority of the traffic that we're actually seeing in this area is between Brentcliffe and Laird. That's where it's getting most backed up. I know Leslie and Eglinton needs some work coming southbound in our joint areas. I'm motioning to you, John, Councillor Burnside. I know you can't see me necessarily, but this is something we're continuing to work on. And I would just also point out that this motion that's before us has a part of it that requires us to go, they're doing counts now. They're going to be doing counts after, for the long term in terms of seeing how this works once the LRT is open after a series of period of time. So this isn't necessarily the end goal. The end goal is to make access to Don Lee for the residents who live there without infiltrating onto other streets. We're trying to make sure we're managing the traffic in a way that is working for everybody, including Don Lee. I want to thank all of the residents who've taken the time to meet with us, to write in, to share their lived experience in the daily congestion and traffic infiltration through their neighborhoods, some even before I was elected, to solve these longstanding challenges. And I would just say that one of the deputants spoke about this as a crisis, and I've seen a lot of congestion and a lot of cut-through infiltration traffic, but I don't think I've ever seen any that is quite as bad. And we have some real pressure points in our neighborhood that I have on a list to resolve, but this one was truly at crisis levels. And so, our staff, together with city staff, have spent countless hours on this. We actually tallied it recently, and my team has spent a dedicated amount of hours, over 250 hours in counting daily, and this was really working alongside and together with staff to understand and to mitigate the traffic issues. So I just want to thank, this has really been a group effort on everybody's behalf. And particularly the staff in transportation services, including traffic operations, work zone construction, traffic systems operation, and community council and issues management, who have collaborated with us to tackle this. So this, I hope, will provide some relief, but we are continuing to monitor it. There is still work that needs to be done in the future. Particularly, there's a left turn lane on Eglinton to go north onto Brentcliffe. It could probably be reconfigured. We've been in discussions with staff about this, but I know the opening of the LRT, everybody's kind of waiting to see how that works. And then just one final comment. I know staff had suggested, Sean Dillon had suggested that we should be pushing this more with the TTC. We have been talking regularly with the TTC about moving that intersection. There has been pushback against that. So I think the sense is that we do this for now, and that we see how things are and we continue to monitor. And I just want to thank everybody who's been working on this, because I know it's been quite grueling, and also to the residents of Don Lee. I hope that they have their street back with a semblance. And I would just also add to the deputant who spoke about, who lives in the community and is concerned about the impact it will have on her in getting out of the neighborhood. I do understand that. I live in this community as well. So I do understand that concern, and that this decision was not taken lightly. It was really done to balance the needs of everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chernos Lynn. Are there any other speakers on the item? I was going to speak, but I don't want to be stuck in traffic. All right. So no more speakers. So, Councillor Chernos Lynn, we're going to move your recommendations, and I'm going to stay out of the area because because of all the traffic horror stories you've told today.
Stay on the main streets. Thank you.
Yeah, I can't wait for this.
Abide by the turn restrictions, please.
I'm waiting for this crosstown to open.
We all are, and we hope it will help.
Yeah. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your advocacy for the community. Item 28, Manisa Road. This was an item that I brought forward. Transportation has vetted the item. This is just some changes to parking restrictions to help with the local school. Are there any, there's no deputations. Any questions for staff? Item 28, it's Manisa Road parking restrictions. Yeah, so I'll make this very quick. Any speakers? I will only speak just to move the item. And this is, as I said, to just help with the arrival and departure of cars from a local school. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And the last one, we have made a minor change to an item that was added to the agenda, item 29, Plews Road, Spalding Road, Catherine Road, parking restrictions. On item number 4, a community survey showed that it was overwhelmingly in favor of no stopping rather than no parking. So that is the change we've made since this was brought onto the council floor. Do you want questions for staff?
Actually, it's a question of the mover. Is it too late to ask a question of the mover?
No.
The question is just, is this, there are two kinds of ways these come as a letter of correspondence from the councillor. Is this the case where you've done a lot of staff work, but they haven't had time to write the report? Or are we just making some moves here and staff haven't had a chance to work on it yet?
No, of the view that this has been vetted by staff. We spent an enormous amount of time with the parent body, with a green advocacy group for traffic management, with city staff and my team. This was put together.
Just a matter of moving up the deadline and getting it done.
Yeah, this was a lot of care and thought went into this, and we had my staff dropping survey sheets, and we looked at them. So I think this is pretty close to what will work and what the neighborhood is requesting. All righty. All those in favor? Opposed? That is, oh, sorry. Yes, so we had to make the change from no parking, no stopping. So we have to vote on that first. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. The item is amended. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, so we have a last-minute motion? All right, let's put it on the screen. Okay, so the first vote is to introduce it to the agenda. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried.
And this is just a motion to instruct staff to do a study of removing a turn restriction, which many people have lobbied for. There's support in the community, but I'm concerned there might be unintended impacts as what we can hear when turn restrictions are not present. So I think a staff report will be very helpful towards making the best decision. Thank you.
Okay, so the item has been introduced, and actually, Councillor Jenkins sort of moved the item. Are there any questions for the mover? No? Okay, are we ready to vote on it? Okay, all right. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And that was the last item of the day, although we're doing the bills. Councillor Chernos-Lynn, would you like to do the bills?
Absolutely. That bills 363 to 370 prepared for the April 13th, 2025 meeting 23 of North York Community Council be declared as bylaws and passed, subject to section 226.9 of the City of Toronto Act 2006. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And Councillor Carroll, confirmatory bills.
Sure. That confirmatory bills to confirm the legislative proceedings from the North York Community Council acting under delegated authority at meeting 23 on April 30th, 2025, be declared as bylaws and passed subject to section 226.9 of the City of Toronto Act 2006.
Great. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We thank you very much. That concludes our business for today. Thank you very much, councillors, deputants, city staff, members of the public, and enjoy the rest of the day.